will be just as good, if not better, coming up right now. And then following that, me and Neil will be back at 2 p.m. So for Neil, Brendo in the back there, Sharif Adair about to kill it over there. We've got Ramin back. We've got Fabian in the building as well.
Full
Thank
house.
you to our good friend Randy for filling us up with, I mean, I had 2 coffees this morning, and this one's actually, one's half full, one's pretty much done, so not bad. Full, yeah, and I gotta get on some more of this water. All right, let's get down Shopify. Here we go. Oh yeah, Shopify filled. There we go, baby. Shopify back into the Greensville now. P&L wise, let's see if this market collapses all over itself.
And thanks for the super chat there, Samuel Patlick. In the chat there. Appreciate the super chat as we had you on over. We want to make sure we got that one in there, and thank you for that. But let's go over to the professor and Dara. Go get him.
What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as That Midday Show. That is your girl, Adara, and I'm Sharif. And we're going to wait for everyone to come on over from the other chat. There we go. We got Big Smile or Big Spile or whatever you want to call him. Burdette, what's up to you, my man? Good to see you bright and early. We got Easy Trader and Matthew Booth. We got Hamster1 dancing up a storm and late Day Trader cut. LF, a different letter. TH, we got Adam Duluce. I saw you and the Katina Man hitting it up in London. Good to see that. Can't wait to see you in October, brother. Bob Dub, MB3. Pedro Khan, Cesar Sandoval. We got Tammy B. We got Nate. We got Big Asian. Okay. We got Chuck Fuller, Fiddlebeck, Ron John, Andrew Chow, The Piper, Michelle Meir. We got Brandon Townsend and Blind Leader, Day Trader Cut, as I mentioned, joining us as well. The Sankofa. Okay, there's a square named after you now. Hog Rider, Alex Diaz. We got Mark L. And we got Adrian Fox. Or 4XAU, I should say, there, Adara, and we got Mike Walter as well. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing this fine? Is it a Monday? It's a Monday. How are you doing today, Sharif?
Can't complain. You know, everything is good. Weekend was chill and nice and relaxing. Weather was good. How was your weekend?
My weekend was good. I know you had your fun, exciting festival, so I heard you were telling me that was fun. I'm happy to hear it. My weekend, I cleaned my room, which was nice, did some writing, like actually was a nice productive weekend, and I also slept because we always know that is kind of part and parcel for me, like living my life. So good times there. Honestly, no complaints and zero regrets. To shout out, we're the Millers / I know Obi's kind of taking that mantra as well. But nice look there. I'm just in this Apple trade right now. I know I put in the chat, Apple, bro, what are you doing? Because I wasn't getting filled at that time. But then Apple was like, oh, Adara, you actually can get this beautiful dip buy at 218.16. You know what? I'll let you add as well. So very happy here. I have just, thank you, I appreciate that. I've got like, I mathed this position very oddly. I have a scintilla of shares left. I have one out left here. If we keep bouncing here off 218.90s, I'm tempted to add. If not, if we get below 80s, I'll get out. I was risking here into 30s, so I've already like risk to reward for me. That's fine if I got in at 60s. Please just punch. And I didn't chase. I didn't think I'd get 60s, but I waited. We have this wick down into 60s, then we come back up. So I said, thank you, Apple. Come again. And so this happened here. If we keep bouncing off 218.90s, I love what we're doing on the book at 218.90s. I will get involved. But as I posted on my Instagram, I'm also looking here at IWM and Eli Lilly. So check out the Insta story, Trader TV Adara, shameless self-plug there. If you want to take a look at some names I'm looking at today that are not the Apple one. How are you
Love
doing?
it. Yes, I was looking at the exact same trade as Apple as you. I love how you executed on that. This is a former area of resistance that became the support. I'm assuming you're looking at that 218.50, 218.60-ish area. And then, you know, you clear it by some distance. You dance with 219. You come into an obvious consolidation area and take the long. I love it. I hope you print up a storm on that. The Fuge is printing at the high of day 18,758. I haven't looked at the NQ quite yet, but it's a good day right now for the Mag 7, for the chips. Keeping an eye on those bad boys. SPCE is up almost 10%. Wow. Okay, so SMCI really recovering off that bathroom visit that it had last week, so we'll keep an eye on that. I'm involved in BBAI. I almost got printed at 39s, but it's coming down into my area over here. Very small position just to kind of keep things interesting. Let's get started. The lesson du jour, guys. I'm sorry I'm low on energy today, so you're going to have to forgive me. I will do my best to keep things exciting, but the energy is of very little amounts. So much so, Adara, I forgot to load up my lesson, but here it is. Good stuff. That was quick. All right, we're talking about trading earnings today after hours, so let's get right to it, as the title there suggests. I don't know where the hell my lesson keeps going. I'm going to have to do this one more time. All right, here we go. One more time. Lesson. There we go. It loaded it up. Good job, computer.
Good job, computer.
All right, trading after hours markets is a unique trading environment. It's characterized by increased volatility and the potential for significant price swings and movement. So right off the bat, we need to be careful with that. Understanding the dynamics of this market can unlock opportunities, though, for savvy traders. So let's get right to it. After hours trading, what are we talking about here? Why is this important? Well, number one, as I prefaced there right off the top, it has increased volatility. So earnings announcements, which typically come either pre-market or aftermarket, in fact, they only come pre-market and aftermarket, they often trigger sharp price fluctuations, which can lead to larger profit opportunities, of course, easily larger losses as well, when you compare that to the regular trading hours. And the opportunity for larger price moves here is also quite operative. The reduced number of participants in the after hours markets can amplify price movements. When you drop the liquidity, then basically what you're looking at here is more aggressive price movements because there's not that, big order in your way, whether to the high side or the downside. So this can create chances for significant gains and or losses, right? And you also have the first mover advantage here. Oftentimes when big money is moving into a name, the hedge funds, they got to go through these buying and selling committees. So they either, get it the next day or whatever, the next week. If you get in right when the earnings come into play, you get that first mover advantage. The first mover advantage comes with this pros and cons. Traders who can quickly react to earnings news can potentially capitalize on price trends before they become widely known. They're pretty much known, but they're not acted upon at that time, okay? But there is also plenty of risk to talk about here in the after hours trading. There's lower liquidity, as we very much explained. So the reduced trading volume can result in wider bid-ask spreads. The spread essentially is the difference between how much the highest price someone's willing to pay and the lowest price someone's willing to offer. If there's a difference between those two prices, often there is. That's a cost of doing business just by getting in and out of the position at the same price, assuming the price doesn't move, okay? So you need to be apprised of the spread, which is typically wider in the aftermarkets, okay? What this does is it leads to slippage. The example I gave you there of the cost of doing business at the same price, getting in and getting out, and there being a difference between the bid and the ask, this will increase the, number one, the slippage. Number two, the transaction cost sometimes may be a little bit different after market, so you need to check with your broker on that. Market manipulation as well, due to the increase or decreased amount of volume, the potential for manipulation is higher as a result of the lower trading volume. False rumors, for example, or misleading information can absolutely distort prices as the fog of war, so to speak, dissipates. And there's also, I mentioned this, increased volatility. While volatility offers opportunities, and we love volatility as day traders, it also increases the risk of rapid and unpredictable price swings. So what are some strategies that you can employ here for after hours trading? Scalping. So we mentioned this last week with respect to gaps. We'll mention it here as well. Taking advantage of rapid price fluctuations by entering and exiting trades quickly. This strategy requires precise market timing and a high tolerance of risk. But there is something called the equity straddle. And this is a dangerous play. And I used to do this one. I don't do it anymore. I'm going to show you how to do it. But it's incumbent on you to figure out whether or not it works under your style. So this essentially here involves placing a buy order slightly above the market price and a sell order slightly below the current market price, okay? The strategy aims to profit from a price movement after the earnings in either direction following the earnings release. The pros for this, and I'll show you in a second how to do it. The pros for this type of order is there is potential, obviously, for high returns if the stock price moves significantly in either direction and you get triggered. The cons, obviously, requires some maybe bigger amount of money if you want to have bigger share size. If the price stock remains relatively unchanged, you can lose on both sides, or if it zigs and zags. So let me explain exactly what I'm talking about here. So here is the chart. Let's go Apple, and we're going to go to the 4 hour. I think it'll be easy here on Apple. Okay, so this is that 220 level on Apple. So let's just say this is after hours earnings, okay? So then I'm gonna place a buy order if it triggers anything above 225. So I'm expecting, let's just say, 10% plus or minus in volatility. We know that because we go and we get that data from Market Chameleon or any other type of service that gives us the implied volatility after earnings. So I straddle it. I have a buy order to go long on Apple if it breaches 225 because I like that level because it's a consolidation zone. At the same time, I'll have a sell order for a break of 200. So I'm straddling the price action. And basically what I'm looking for is a direction, basically a one singular direction. So oftentimes what ends up happening when you have an earnings release is that it zigs and zags. It'll dip before it pops or it'll pop before it dips. That's not always what happens. So what you need to do is you need to take some risk, essentially. If you're going to take this type of trade, you're going to have to be willing to get punched in on the wrong side. So what ends up happening is you get the earnings release like right at 405, 410, the price spikes, you get filled. Now, I'm going to show you a little bit of a trick because I'm going to get to this in a second, but your market order will not fill after hours, okay? So if you think you're going to get a market order on the trigger up, you're not. It's going to blow through your order. So what you need to do is you need to use a stop limit order on both the buy and the sell. So you're going to go to stop limit. You're going to say my order, I want it triggered. My stop price is $225.25. But because I know that there is ample amount of illiquidity in the aftermarket, I know that it can blow through my order and not fill me at all. In fact, it's incumbent upon you to figure out how illiquid the stock is after hours because that will dictate the spread between your trigger price and your limit price. You're gonna have to enter two data points here. So for example, I'll give it $1, okay? $225 is gonna be the triggering price. The limit price will be $226. So what I'm telling the computer is here, if the price crosses $225 after the earnings come out to the long side, go long and pay up to $226.25. Now there's another thing I need to tell you here. There's an exchange rule that prevents you from having the trigger price and the limit price be more than 3% of each other. So if you're going to do this trick, you got to make sure that your stop price and your limit price are not farther than 3% of one another. If you do, the exchange will not fill you, okay? So that's what I'm doing here. I'm entering two prices because of the illiquidity. My triggering price, which is the stop price, and my limit price, which is how much I'm willing to pay. If I enter a market order, it will not trigger in the aftermarket, all right? So that's how you do that. One order to the high side, one order to the low side, and you're waiting for it to trigger. Now, what I talked about earlier about the zig and zag is that sometimes you'll get a drop in price before it goes long or a pop in price before it goes low. And what they're doing, the algos are trying to trigger you into getting in so they can take your money. So what I end up doing is I end up researching to see whether or not this particular equity has a history of bamboozlement. And if it doesn't have a history of bamboozlement, then I'll put it in there. If it does, I won't trade it. And I'll show you what I mean in a second. So your order types. Let's talk about these because I just finished talking about ones that won't work in the aftermarket. Limit orders. You need to be using limit orders in the aftermarket. Market orders won't work. So specify the price at which you want to buy or sell. These are generally the most common types of orders in the aftermarket. Market orders will not work. Stop orders, if you're going to use stop orders, they have to be stop limit orders. Stop market orders will not work. So if you're going to use stop limit orders, there's going to be two prices. The triggering price, as I showed you, and the limit price, the maximum you want to pay. So you need to be very apprised of the order types and what works and what doesn't in the aftermarket. Tips for successful trading after hours, though. Let's talk about this. Technology. Your brokerage has to allow you to trade in the pre and in the aftermarket. I gave the example last week when I was with TD. Before I moved to my current broker, I was allowed to trade after 8:30. So that was of no use to me because what I wanted to do was trade these small cap gappers at 6 and 7 a.m. when 2020, when that was the hot thing to do. So I moved to my brokerage right now. I'm on the screen, guys. Risk management. Implement strict stop loss controls and position sizing to protect your capital. That's very important to do in the aftermarket when there's a lot of volatility. Your market research as well. You research the earnings play. What time did they report? What happened on the prior earnings release, if you're going to use it? Did it spike in one direction or did it zig and zag? Emotional control as well. Because of the amount of volatility that there is in the aftermarket, the price action, the after hours can be extremely volatile. Avoid impulsive decisions based on fear or greed and stick to your trading plan. Sticking to your trading plan here requires you, by definition, to go and to do your homework on that earnings play before you use the equity straddle option. So make sure it's all good there. And yeah, I hope everybody who ends up trading earnings does quite well on the Madeira.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving us that insight. And I like as well what Sean alluded to, because you have the experience, because you've traded and you've looked into these aftermarket earnings plays. I think it's, lots of insight there. So shout out to Sharif. Thank you so much for preparing these lessons. I'm going to get out the rest of my SPY scalp here. Basically, the plan for this short scalp, and I want to talk about it because I'm decently happy with how this is, although I know if you look at the chart, it might look a little ow. So why I liked the SPY scalp is because the SPY book and the Tesla book are the two order books that, without a doubt, I have on my screen at all times. Without a doubt. I've got Tesla right above me. Hi, say hi, Tesla. Say hi to the camera. And then I have the SPY right next to me. So I have my eyes on both of them at all times. And I was noticing the SPY would do this little thing in the book where we'd get to like early 535s, like say 535 teens to 535 40s, and then we'd come back down. So then I noticed we were holding 40s. So then we hold 40s, we get up to 60s, and it's kind of weak. I'm seeing on the daily chart some topping tail candles, even though we are still up, obviously in an uptrend. So I said, hey, Adara, you like that 535 40s? If we see anything break below 40s, get in, risk into that level near the 60s. That's about 20 pennies risk. You want to make minimum 20 pennies if you're looking for that 20-cent level. So I got involved here in the SPY with that in mind. Took the scalp short because I trusted myself. I had the confidence based on what I saw in the book. And it ended up working out. I took my 20 pennies for 2/3 of the position, held the final third for a piece for the dream, and I was actually willing to add at 535s when we broke below that area, but the break was kind of, to use a Sharif, as anemic, so I didn't want to add to the position there. That being said, we're still seeing lower highs. You guys know, if you see the show, you know I like talking about this. My favorite way to scalp the market is going to be through whole dollar breakdowns. So if we get that 535 breakdown, that's where I'm going to be breaking into the trade to the downside. Also, IWM, I like this downtrend. My best level on it was 205.50s. I mentioned that on my Instagram story this morning. TraderTV Adara, shameless self-plug. But yeah,
Nothing wrong with that. I like it, yeah.
Thank you, I appreciate that. The other entry, though, would have been getting in at 205.30s and risking into 205.50s. The reason I didn't was because I was a little preoccupied with my S&P 500 trade. So that, you win some, you lose some. If we come to that 205 area and reject, maybe I can have some risk opportunities there. But right now, that no trade for me on either of those. Apple, though, this is going to be the one I want to talk about because I mentioned I took my last slice out of that apple pie when we got to that 219.03s. I obviously got out early, but I stand by getting out where I did because we were seeing lower highs in the book. I got out one piece at 219.09, so we kind of came down below 219s. We wicked above 219s. I said, Adara, just get out here. You're not feeling great about it anymore. We obviously pushed higher, but I stand by, it was the right time to exit for me, for my purposes. So if we keep bouncing off 80s, that's not a bad level, and then you risk into 218, 50s, and 60s, as Sharif mentioned. I think he and I have kind of similar levels on Apple as it currently stands. So let's see if we can Tim Cook with this one again, but I'm going to shake Apple's hand because I enjoyed that trade. If there are any stocks you're looking at that you have any reads on, that you want to know what Sean and Neil have to say about it, get into that chat and go ! Join, space, $, whatever tickers your fancy. Also, oh my gosh, Stacks saying something amazing. Tesla, you little psycho bunny. I've never heard Tesla described in that way, but honestly, is there maybe a more apt description for Stresla? I'm not really sure. Make sure, though, that you get involved. Thank you, I appreciate that. With that beak. Also, Chris, I was just in a couple trades there, so I'm a little bit more of a scalper. If you don't see positions on my board, it's because I'm kind of in and out of stuff. Yep. Shout out to the Californian burger franchise, but it does not. Oh, Tesla, are you ranging on the 5-minute chart? Tesla, you little psycho bunny. You want me? Shout out to Stacks. I don't. The higher lows make me a little bit hesitant about a range. But man, I like this VWAP bounce. If we get back to 197, I have some ideas there. And oh my gosh, I might bunny bounce into that stock. Shout out again to Stacks. I have never seen a more entertaining description for the Cybertruck one.
That is pretty good.
You're also looking at Apple here.
I am. Yeah, Apple's in an uptrend, obviously, so I need to put some respect on its name and have a look at it today. But I just want to talk quickly about the first trade that I had here, which was BBAI. Tried to get in at the volume-weighted average price at $1.35. We could have taken multiple outs here, but I left this one to do its thing while I was doing the lesson, and I did get stopped out here as it broke down below $1.30. So we'll lose 5 quick pennies to start the day like that. But I'm looking at a different name here, and it goes by the name of Hood. And this is a nice area flipped from resistance to support. So this 1855 area was an obvious level of resistance right at the opening bell. We cleared by some distance, and now it looks like we're going to leave that. So I'm a little bit late to the party over here for Hood. Should have been in around 1855, 1856 area. This area flips from support to resistance. So good luck there for Hood. They got an upgrade today from Piper Sandler, by the way. Liking what they see in terms of the amount of money coming in. I don't want to call it asset under management because they're not a hedge fund, but they've got a lot of deposits, about over $13 billion now in deposits. Net interest income as well, down because of the possible interest rate cuts. That they don't worry about that. Saying crypto volume, options volume, still paying the bills, keeping the lights on there. So Hood, good day, 3.88% in the clear at the moment. The Apple trade, I'm going to continue to watch, see how this resolves. We're at this 219 area, generally a little bit below, a little bit above. Unsure. Here are the side charts. Look, they're an anemic bunch today. There isn't that much. GNLN obviously is up there with 220% gains, but well off the highs. About almost $2.50 now below the highs. 1043 HOD. We're printing 788, and we're below the volume-weighted average price, so I'm not interested in it at the moment. PSIG, though, is a possible one here, but I was looking to see what this one was going to do, whether it was going to zig and zag at $2.25, and it looks like that's what it's doing for now. But what's operative here is the higher lows and this flat top at 235. So we're going to let this one resolve, and then we'll figure it out when it does. WHLR and SXTP are both interesting, but the volume really falling off a cliff on both. They're both below the volume-weighted average price, so I'm not inclined to trade either of them at the moment. It's really going to come down to Hood, which is not really a small-cap gapper, or this PSIG. We'll have to see if any of these bad boys wake up. No read right now on the Mag 7, though, as we get a big move down here on the Fuge. About a 65-point move from the top. We're breaching 700. We're on our way down now to this 50-period moving average on the 5-minute, 18,675. We've just breached 18.7 here, Dara, so a bit of a move down here on the How to Trade midday show.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Forex AU mentioning Tesla, saying days high for Tesla, but please consider it's about lunchtime. Yeah, I'm happy I didn't get into Tesla. I liked the idea that if it bounced off 198, it would be a nice little long here, because that was, if not a range, it was like the breakout top, right? So we had that support at 197 with these higher highs. That being said, 197.50s, if we hold this as support, I wouldn't mind scalping that into 198, but the market's too weak right now, regardless of what Tesla's doing, for me to be involved. The one thing I'm really sad, though, I missed was this AMD short. Shout out to, I think it's Trader Forever in the chat, saying AMD doesn't look like a long right now. I said that a while ago. I agreed. I literally liked AMD as a short from the moment I sat down. For whatever reason, I have AMD in the 3-minute on my side chart. I don't know why that is, because I generally chart off the 5. But the 3-minute, you see that rounded top better than you see it in any other time frames. And also, look at that support we have at 136.80. I said, Adara, we break below 136.80 violently, you get short. So we get to 136.85, we bounce back up to 137s, we come crashing back down to 136.80, and before I can blink, before I can breathe, we sell right off. So shout out to anybody who had that short. I totally missed it. I like AMD as a short, but I wouldn't be interested again until we come to a level that I like. That being said, hey, if you're gonna drop, you guys know my go-to for when the market drops like this, and it's seeing what the SPY's up to. What can I spy here on the SPY? Wow, I got out of my short early. In my defense, though, we were not prepared for that huge move to the downside. So I want to see what we do if we break below 50. Okay, there we go. We got that break below 50s. I'm interested in taking a bit of a scalp short here on the S&P 500, getting in at 47s. Let's see what we can do here. If we break down back below into 532s, I'll be okay with that. If we get back up into like 60s, 70s. That was an area I was watching in the book. That'll be helpful. And I want to say, too, the reason I'm more comfortable taking some of these SPY scalps as the market falls as opposed to the Qs is I don't have the book necessarily for the Qs up at all times. I have, like I said, the book for the SPY. I'm always reading the S&P 500 order book. That is for sure. So I know what I'm supposed to be looking for, right? Took a quick 50 pennies on that SPY scalp. So the point I'm trying to make is I can, if I have it on my mind and in my eyes at all times, reverse the way I said that, that sounded kind of creepy, then I know what movements I'm supposed to be looking for, right? So if I see that move down, I have a way to take it. So shout out to the S&P 500. I'm happy I got it where I did because you're getting a bit trampoline-ish at 532. Wow, says Daryl Flinch. I mean, you summed it up pretty well. Look at these market down. That's a big red. News says be free. I'm going to look here. I
don't see anything.
I'm not seeing anything. We know we sometimes do get that midday dump for whatever reason. Sad that we're always stuck with it. Right. I'm looking here into this. Is there anything?
Neil says Donald Trump's back on X, but that's not where we're dumping. We know that there's that interview tonight with Elon Musk.
Yeah. Shout out. Yeah, I know. Sharif was mentioning that where Elon Musk and Donald Trump at 8 p.m. on X. So that's interesting. Yeah, I'm not seeing any reason for that move down. Right now, the only thing I have in terms of levels are scalps, AMD way out of my range of interest, Eli Lilly. So I'm not getting involved in Eli Lilly as the market dumps because no. But if we come to that 884, look at this. This was a huge area that we found some support earlier today. We bounced a little bit here on Lilly. And if you actually go back a few days, I'm going to zoom out to show you guys this. 884 was kind of a level on Thursday, as we had a little bit of support there on Thursday, and it was also a level, or sorry, that's Friday. But if you go back to Thursday, Eli Lilly, that 884 was that level we wicked into in the pre before selling off. So I really like Eli Lilly around this 884. If it comes back to form as strong support, I'd have to risk a lot to get involved in this, so I'm not getting involved right away. But that 884, 887 baby range gives me some risk to reward opportunities. How are you doing?
Good. I don't have anything at the moment. Just looking at the future, 18.6. We breached 18.6 quite aggressively. We got down into 18.575. No real account for this. Now we're negative, barely though, on the NQ. The break-even point is 18.615, so we're zigging and zagging there. We'll keep an eye on that. Lots of red, as you can see here on the market. NVIDIA faring the best, though, on that little move down, still up over 4%, and it did hold the volume-weighted average price at this little move down. So I'm going to keep my eye on 108.50 because that was kind of the line in the sand there on NVDA. Tesla right at that 196 area. Apple at 217 and change, trying to work into 218. Amazon at 166. Meta at 510, and Microsoft finding support at that 404.5 where it had found support earlier. It looks like the weakest of the bunch right now is going to be Google, down 0.75. Meta also the one of the weakest of the bunch, 1 1/3. The Fuge just barely negative, so you can compare these two to the Fuge, obviously much weaker at the moment. So keeping an eye on that. No small caps I have at the moment over here. I don't really have anything. If you guys want me to look at anything for you, just throw it in the chat. I'd be more than willing to have a look at it. I personally don't have anything to trade at the moment, so I'm going to stay clear of these markets. And when I find something that I like for my setup, I will get into it. Mary says NVIDIA seems to be the strongest stock today. I would have to echo that sentiment, especially with that little drop that we had right there. And by little, I'm talking about 200 points in about 1 or 2 minutes on the future. You didn't see that kind of weakness, though. 10 2/3 was the consolidation area top over here on NVIDIA. The worst we could do was drop into 108 and 2/3. So about a $2 drop there, but still much better than the overall market. Nick Dubb, can you check out TER and DOCUN? Sure, let's have a look at TER and DOCN. Here we go, TER. This is the 4-hour look on TER. Good day over here. Looks like it found its bottom at that 107.5. Since that level, it was able to bounce up into 125-ish area. So a good recovery on the 4-hour. Let's have a look at the 5-minute over here. Yeah, the volume on the day, though, to be quite honest with you, is a little bit low. So I'm going to stay personally away from it. There's no 5-minute candle here with even 25,000 shares. All these 5-minute candles have about 2,000 or 3,000 shares, so that's not something I can trade in good conscience given the liquidity. Let's look at DOCN for you though, DocuSign. That one's a little bit better. Good direction here on DOCN. Looks like it started out its life today at 31 3/4 up to 33.5. Trying to hold above the 20 exponential. Look for that 33. Looks like we bounced off that 33 at about 10:20. Manuel Palma, SOUN. Yeah, let's have a look at SOUN quickly over here. Yeah, kind of the same look as DOCN, up and to the right, trying to hold above the 20 or VWAP. 515 is where VWAP is, 536 high a day. Low, I mean, we're not really moving here. Kind of almost ensconced within yesterday's price action, guys. So keep them coming. I'll have a look at them as you throw them in, Adair.
Yeah, I'm also willing to look at some stuff for some people because I'm also waiting for levels to come in. I had another SPY scalp at that 532.
Sorry, I have to mention the super chat.
Please do, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Adam DeLuz. By the way, £2. Hit the like and subscribe, guys. Great show. Always appreciate Adam's support, Adair.
Yes, thank you so much to Adam. Cannot deluge there, to win there. So thank you very much for that super chat. Much appreciated. S&P 500, I think, is trying to break a little bit higher. Like you guys know, I'm always watching the book for levels of support and resistance. I tried to get involved in another short here, same level as the first, more or less. You can see these little purple triangles at 532, just shy of 50s. We were about like 10 pennies in the money, then we bounced back up. I got out and we got above 532.70s as planned. That was the level I liked as a stop for both of those shorts. However, I don't think I'd short this again until I have really strong conviction because that 532.30 is now kind of forming a little bit of support, mayhaps, perchance. As I say that, we're trying to break back lower. But unless or until we break below 532 viciously and decisively, I'm going to stay away for my purposes for SPY scalp shorts, just the way that I trade and the style with which I trade. But I want to look at some names for some people as well as we have this time here as we wait for levels to kind of soup. I don't know what that was. Palantir, though, I really like as this rejection of 29.50. Someone in the chat mentioned PLTR in all caps. So let's take a look at this. And what I like about Palantir, we get our first pushback of the day for PLTR. That 30, or I guess this is just shy of 30 here, 29.90s. We get this stutter step to the downside, right? We come back, we curl up here, then we get that big drop at 11. Look where we fall from. 29.90s. So support resistance flip to the downside. Then we get some chop and turn and look where we're rejecting at. That's right, the bottom of the smiley face here at 29.50s-ish on a wick basis. So I think this Palantir is forming some interesting levels. Someone was also asking about B. Riley, which B. Riley, I guess, is probably wanting to be profitable. No, I'm joking. They did project a Q2 preliminary earnings, net loss of over $435 million. Big ouch here for BRLY. There are two levels I like on this. I don't think we're going to hit either of them, and I saw them on the 3-minute chart. One of them was this $11 level because that was a bit of an area of support on the way down. I thought if we wick higher into that could be a nice level because we are clearly short SSR because, look, we're down more than 50%, so we're good there. Then this level sort of hit, and it's going to be that 9:30 level, $9.30, not 9:30 a.m. We get it in the pre, we kind of drift lower. We try to break above it here, right, again in the pre-market, come lower. We push up above it here right after the open around 9, and then we don't really get it. So those are my only levels on B. Riley. Like I would usually do for these downward trend names or upward trends, just look for any levels of support resistance coming up. The last one I want to look at for people here that was being mentioned was the House of Mouse, AKA Disney. Apparently they had Billy Crystal come in for their D23 Expo because he did the voice of Mike Wazowski in Monsters, Inc. They're going to do new Monsters, Inc. world. So apparently he sang a song. Seems like it was quite the event. Disney in 86. 86 was a level I kind of liked on DIS last week. But Disney, the thing you have to remember with Disney is it's moved pretty anemically. As someone who tried to trade on Friday, I think like the most I saw at one point was just moving like in and out of 10 pennies. Obviously, things changed later in the day, so things moved higher. But Disney has been a little bit of a chilled out, subdued name. I've noticed since its earnings. So not on earnings day though. Earnings day it sold right off. But 86, we get a little bit of support in the pre. We come here, we drop lower, bounce beautifully on VWAP, might I add here to 85.60. Then we come back to 86, bit of a bounce, and come back down. Now we're trying to bounce off again here. So maybe higher highs. I would say if we hold 86 and clear that 86.20 level, I would not necessarily play it as a range because Disney's been a little iffy for range plays, but if we break above that level, there could be a little bit of strength on DIS, which is flat on the day. Decent volume here, just under 4 million shares traded. Mademoiselle here, also on watch for me, trying to continue to make lower highs, lower lows. I said I liked that 887 level because that was a bit of a level we had some stuff with here on the 5-minute chart on Friday. So I like 887, but my big level here is 884. If we break below that 884 support, oh boy, I will probably be interested in on this level. I am not shorting from NVIDIA from 121, James Jones. I do not know if that shows anything, but I am not short NVIDIA. 121 cannot do something for me, nor can it do anything for anyone right now in NVIDIA because it's not up. So I apologize if that shows that I am not short NVIDIA right now, nor have I traded it all day.
All right, I just saw INDO make a big move here. Indonesia Energy, it's a $41 million market cap. It's up at $4. 403 is a high of day, guys, right there on the chart. 403 HOD, it's at $41 million market cap, 4.4 million shares traded today, 4.7 million share float. And let's check out the short float over here, INDO. So 2.5% of it is shorted, not really much. I was looking for a 4 rejection. So this one looks like it's strong. So I'm going to keep an eye on INDO here and look for something off possibly 4. Let's set up for something maybe at 401. We'll try to defend that $4 level to see what it does. So small cap gapper, du jour, making a big move. No real explanation why this is moving. Keeping an eye here. Well, it could possibly do something with oil. Did oil just spike? Okay, so oil's up 2 1/5. It's at the high of the day right now, which could be why INDO is pumping. Not really 100% sure, but the CL September contract is at 78.55, the high of the day. So we'll see if this has anything to do with that pump. Separately, Oxy's still at that 58.75 level. Here we go. So we just got filled on INDO. I'll give this to 390, so we'll risk like 10 pennies or whatever to see if we can get something out of this. But INDO spiking up here, looking for a hold at 411 HOD. We just wet our beak there. Let's see if we can move up a little bit more here. I also see BBAI on my side chart is coming in to the volume weighted average price at $1.35. So that one we got stopped out of earlier. Let's see if we can weasel up into lucky number 14 here on INDO. We just printed 13s there on the ask. Let's see if we can move up a little bit more. 27%, nothing to sneeze at for this name. Here comes 14, and there is 14. So we'll take a good profitable trade on INDO here, up 27%. It's still going. Jay Lee says it dumped last week. INDO, same level. Short it if these tops, in my humble opinion. We'll see what it does with 4 first, Jay. If it gives up 4, I'll look over to Neil and see if he can hook me up with some shorts on this bad boy. Still unsure about how much it's going to cost me. Let's find out first if it's a pay for short type of situation. It is. So can't get short on this one unless I secure them. But I know Real Trading always hooks me up no matter what. The best dang prop firm around in these parts over here. I almost sometimes pay nothing for these shorts, and I really mean it. Like it'll cost me like a penny for 100 shares or something like that. So I really do mean it when I say that. That's not tongue in cheek. So INDO, good look here. Let's see if it can turn back around. I know about the Hindenburg piece today about the Adani Group, guys. I know all about that. It's not really tradable. Here we don't trade, anything connected to that, and possibly like the Indian market. So I don't know if you're in the Indian market, if you're in the Nifty. What that situation is. I haven't had an opportunity to take a look, but I know all about it. All right, INDO still going, guys. Here we go. Here comes 4 1/5. We just actually, I believe we did print 20s. Yeah, we printed 20s there over the ask. So lots of strength coming into Indo over here. Energy name, CL contract, high a day, 2 1/4 right now. It's up over 2 1/5. So keeps printing higher and higher. And I'm not sure what's going on in oil world, but I'm willing to bet it has something to do. Thank you, Neil. I appreciate that. I'll take them. I'll take them, Neil. Thank you. Oh, I got them. Thank you. 37 cents it cost me to get 100 shares for INDO short.
Wow.
Best dang prop trading firm around these parts of there.
And shout out, I remember when Lucy, that one, you might remember that penny stock Lucy. I was getting shorts for the left, right, and center, and they were very inexpensive. I don't think I used any of them, but I didn't feel like I needed to because the prices are so nice. It looks like someone is reloaded on his trades.
Get it, Katina, man.
I was reloaded here in the SPY. What are you trading right now, Sean?
Shopify.
Short Shopify. Pardon?
He's still short.
Oh, still short Shopify. Thank you. Sorry, I only heard like part of that. S&P 500. I tried to go long here around 532.80s because you guys know I like that 532.70 area as a little bit of a resistance and support area. When we started holding that as support, it was beautiful. We get to 532.71s, bounce. 532.70s, bounce. I was like, wow, right? This trampoline action. So I get long 81s, risk it into 70s, we break below 70s, I get out. Now SPY's like, oh, Adara, did you miss me? Because I'm still kind of holding this level now. So yeah, had a bit of a fake out breakdown there for the SPY, but it looks like it still wants to push higher. I'm not getting back involved in this till I see us break above that 533 because we just skirted away from it. We had to test that 533, couldn't get above it. Still watching the SPY for scallops, but there's one name that I actually already had on my side chart that someone's asking about here in the chat that I have some opinions on. And that name is going to be CrowdStrike. Shout out here to, who is this in the chat asking about CrowdStrike? Peterman07. So shout out to you, saying, Adara, please look at crowd. Weakness, I feel. So I also felt weakness, but I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if I'd short this here. And the reason I say that is because A, we pushed above VWAP here. B, we're pushing above 240s. And C, the spread here is pretty wide, so it's pretty easy to get chopped up. Now, CrowdStrike generally is a bit of a wider spread, but it's not always going to be like 30 cents. This is not a spread up, okay? This is not a Lily. This one is like, it has a wider spread, but it's not, I would say, characterized by its wider spread. As someone who, oddly enough, tends to trade spreadier names. The thing I'd be aware of, though, with regards to a larger thesis here for CrowdStrike in terms of weakness or strength, look at that support we had at this 238.30s after that drop down. And this was also a bit of an area that we had here. Slight resistance right off the open here around 945. So I like that 238 and some change as support. I think if that holds a support, I would watch out. The area I would have considered CrowdStrike for a short is when we tried to wick into this 240s and failed. You know what I mean? Like we had that wick there into that previous 240 area, whole dollar level, bit of resistance here. But now we're seeing something that to me, although it looks like I'm going to have to eat my words because now CrowdStrike's dropping, is generally a bit more bullish on the book. And that's when you see, like with a spreadier name, mind you, higher lows on the book. So let's say we were holding that 240 10s on the ask side, and then the bid, we get like 238.70s, or sorry, 239.70s, 239.80s. So that slow uptrend on the bid side shows we're trying to push to something higher generally, right? That being said, if we continue to reject this 240 on a wick basis, that could maybe be a bit of a short case for CrowdStrike. You see this on the wider time frame as well, these wicks into 240, but you also see on all these time frames, all these bottoming tail candles. So be aware there is some support at 238. This is the spread of your name, so try to trade it accordingly. As someone who's definitely got chopped up by trading for a while, almost exclusively deeply spready names. So speaking of spready names, I think I owe Eli Lilly a little how do you do? And that's because Eli Lilly's been holding up so nicely at this level. I like this. 887. Look at you, Lilly. Look at you with your lower highs. Look at you with your lower lows. Look at you around that 887 level that you've stayed at for the past 10 minutes. I like that 887 level. Look at you with your under $1 spread. Small victories, guys. Small victories. So Eli Lilly, like I said, I'm not going to get involved in this till we see like hard evidence. I don't want to get involved here with a flimsy case. I don't want to, be misusing my prosecutorial discretion over here, okay? I want to be making sure I'm making trades that make sense. That being said, with how well we're holding this 887, 888, the other theory, if we break above this 90 MA into 890s, is use this as support, risk into 887s, and go for long. Now, would I have a profit taker here? Yes, I would. 894, because 894 was a level I liked on Lilly last week. It was that VWAP area that we kept holding as support, and also 894 right below VWAP. So not a bad area. I like Lilly as a long or a short, depending on what we do, but I'm not getting involved in either way until I have some more balance of the evidence. And again, if there's any stocks you're looking at, get into that chat, exclamation point, join to the space, tell the $sign to whatever ticker you're looking at here. SPY still below 533s. What are you doing?
I just wet my beak here on Tesla. I'm looking for a double bottom, possibly during this 195. I'm going to we're going to give this one the old community college try where we already wet our beak. Now we're out of the money. I'm going to get out if it breaks 195. It's already broken 195, so I don't want to sit there and watch it break 195 again. But here we go, moving around that $0.50 again here on TSLA. It's been zigging and zagging, and this is the reason why I liked it. There we go, so we'll take that out. So we'll just wet our beak a little bit there, but this one looks good. This could be heading up a little bit more here. Let's see what it does towards 196. So the 10 exponential for me on the 5 is at 196.25. We're about 75 pennies off that. So we've got ways away here from really encountering that, for at least what I see to be the first area of resistance on Tesla. This is setting up like a good double bottom. It doesn't have to manifest into a double bottom. It could just be, you know, momentary time where we hold up generally in that 195 area and then we print lower. But right now we're moving up into 2/3 of a dollar. Let's see if we can weasel our way into 3/4. I'm looking for possible first area of resistance. It just moved down again because the 10 exponential and all moving averages are dynamic. They're not static. As the price action changes, so will the moving averages. So it was at $0.25. Now it's at the mid-teens. 196.14 is where the 10 exponential on the 5 is. These are, you know, when I say these prices, I don't actually mean the exact price. With moving averages, much like the implied balance high and low, they're zones. So you should be looking for that specific area. And when I say VWAP, you know, like VWAP specifically on Tesla is at 196, low 90s, but it's so close to 197 that that's a zone. It's a 197 VWAP whole dollar level zone. That's how I look at things, especially something as volatile and as liquid and as pricey. I mean, it's not a $1,000 stock anymore, but that's Tesla. So when we talk about these areas, we talk about zones. There is not much in the way of direction at the market right now, guys. We had a nice move up. Now we got a nice move down. We've been holding generally 18.6 here on the future quite well. There's obviously a flat top brewing here at 18.6 1/3. For whatever reason, we've been holding up above that Friday closing print, which is the border between red and green on the day. 18.615 is the closing print on Friday. As you can see, these candles all bottoming, tailing through that white horizontal line, but closing above it. Most notably though, and this is what I see from this last little bit here, that's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, almost half an hour after that huadunk that we got on the market, it is each successive low is higher than its predecessor. However, that is not the case with the tops. The tops are the same, very much near the same. So we could see a flat top breakout if we really get a move here midday. We'll have to wait for that to manifest. You're not going to see me jumping into that trade. So beautiful look right now, holding this general area. But while it's holding, it's forcing the Mag 7 to do nothing. So you're not getting decided breakthrough 195 or clearing on Tesla. You're zigging and zagging here in the high 217s on AAPL. And if I had to make an observation here, Apple and the futures charts are very similar. Almost very similar. Yeah, so today we see different there. Sometimes it's NVIDIA leading, or the similarities between the futures and NVIDIA are more noticeable. Today, I would say it's Apple and the futures contract. So something to be aware of, not saying to trade them the exact same way, but just something to have there in the back of your mind. And if you had to look, we are higher lows on the future and higher lows on Apple. You're not necessarily seeing that on the other names. Meta, you got a lower low. Microsoft, you got a double bottom. Goggles, you got a lower low. Amazon, barely a higher low. It was more like the same thing as Microsoft, where equidistant lows. And Tesla, the same thing. It's really NVIDIA, Apple right now are the strongest of the bunch, if I had to guess. Meta now is red after being green on the day. Meta just huadunked aggressively there off that 5-6. Well, sorry, Meta was always. Where the hell's Meta's closing print? Meta was the only Mag 7 stock green last week, says the Katina man, and I have to agree with that, because we were talking about how this one was just unusually strong and how the Trade Central part of my platform every day, for whatever reason, had a biased green Meta. So maybe that's why they were doing that, right? So Willis Addison still holding Indo 241 trend trade conflict. Let's have a look. Thank you very much, Willis Addison, for that. Let's have a look at INDO. We were in that one. He's holding it from 241. I wet my beak there at 4. So good for you, Willis. We're rejecting here 413. I'd say look for a hold of 4. 4 was a nice hold, but it looks like you're holding from way before that. So your plan might be a little bit different than mine, Adara.
Yeah, I just pumped my fist a little bit because I want to say this too. I want to preface this with, I said a lot on Friday. I got shut down on Friday, and it actually was not Eli Lilly. It was the fact that I was trading names that weren't Eli Lilly. None of the trades that I had on Friday, I would say were bad trades. I had levels on them all. I liked all of them, but I didn't love any of them the way I loved that Eli Lilly 900 breakdown. I am not going to continue to wax poetic about that. I wax poetic about it to people who likely did not care all weekend and also on the show on Friday, so we're done with that. But the point is, I wanted to use that experience to learn. I'm not going to take trades unless I am obsessed with them. Obviously, you always want to know that, right? But it's like, if you have a name you're eyeing and you can't get involved, don't revenge trade, don't get in other things because you didn't get involved in that. Just wait and watch. That being said, I actually had, I don't want to call it my consolation prize because I liked it as much, but I used my opportunity, a silver lining, if you will. I couldn't get involved in that Lilly breakup. You guys know I like that 888 support. I wanted 889s. My dip buy never came. Sad face, but it's all good. I do feel very proud of my read on this because we are rejecting the 894. If you come back and bounce, I'm going long. But I used that opportunity. I was watching Lilly and I was like, hey, SPY, where are you at? Because you guys know I love that support there at the SPY at 532. And someone in the chat was saying, like, what makes you think the SPY is going to push any higher, given the fact that we do have, given the fact that we just generally, like, you know, we're down in the day. And the thing for me was the book. It was the book that made me think the SPY could push higher because we kept bouncing off that 532.70. I was talking about that little baby range there on the SPY from 532.70 to like just above 533s. Tried to get that long once, got out immediately after, small size, whatever, took a hit. That's okay, you bounce back, you keep going. Shout out to Big Sean with bounce back. I got back in there at 532.70s, and the plan was to get out at 533s, which I did, and then add back in if we got back to support at 533s. We didn't bounce off 533s, we kept trekking, got out at 533.25. So please, this punch obviously could have had more in that trade, but you execute the trade accordingly. My plan was to leave, so I left. I want to see what we do if we bounce off 534s. You guys know I like whole dollar levels. I shall get long involved there, but I'm not chasing any waterfalls here. No waterfalls for me. If the trades need TLC, that means you should not be chasing waterfalls, just taking the trades how you want to take them. I love your Apple long here, though. It looks like you're munching on some profits there. Tim cooking up some profits. I can't believe, you know, we know that when September comes, there's usually some new Apple iPhone announcement. So that should be pretty exciting there for A to the A to the P to the L. Watching Microsoft, says Trader Forever, failure at 408 wouldn't be good. Oh, Microsoft, are you rangy? Microsoft gets, I accidentally pushed back my chair into this desk. Sorry there, Sharif.
Oh, yeah, you're good.
I like this Microsoft pseudo range here, and I say pseudo because I have my 5-minute, pseudo, what am I talking about? This is a range. Look at that support 460s. Definitely, and I see what you mean there, that 408 area, because that's actually not really the top of the range of the 5-minute. The proper top here, the topper, is going to be 407.80 with some wicks into 408 both times. You get that in the pre-market. Right before the open, then we get it again when we come in here at 11:05. So I really like that 408 level here. And that, who said this? That was Trader Forever. I like that 408 level. If that fails, I like this kind of downtrend. I don't know if Microsoft is a short I want to hop into because Microsoft is not one I'm really comfortable trading as much unless I have insane levels and I've watched the book extensively. I want to shout out to Sharif because I find you definitely very comfortable with Microsoft. I find it one to be harder to trade, so shout out to you on that. But also I want to hear about you mentioned on some profits in that here Apple trade.
Yeah, well, they broke through 218. I got to tell you the truth, I don't really have a great price here, dear, but the strength on Apple was a little bit eye-opening. So got long at around the $0.25, wet my beak through the break of 40s, looking for the move up into 50s. We'll see what we get over here on AAPL. I do see a bit of a resistance level inching into the area that we're at now, this third of $1. It seems as if there is a bit of a consolidation zone in and around here. I've de-risked, so I'll be looking to add into 218. So I've taken out the majority of the position so we can hold this one against us with you know, without worrying all that often and allowing it to come into a better level to see if we can basically to re-up at that area. There wasn't a whole lot of consolidation, if I can be honest, at the 218 level, but it was the decided break through that level that kind of caught my attention. The consolidation was all south of that 90 penny area. If I really had to guess, it was like mid 80s or generally around that area. So we'll keep an eye on that. Let's also look at the futures to see if we're encountering any areas of resistance right now on the future. And there is this area of consolidation, or not consolidation, area crests from the pre-market. They were all approximately, they were all in an attempt, I should say, to breach 18.7, all of which failed in the pre. This area at 3:50 a.m. to about 4:30 a.m. attempted and it failed. We had this double top there at around 8:30. When we first got onto the air, that failed as well. So we're possibly at a level here on the future, but you know, we'll see. All right, Apple weaseling its way back into 40s. I'll look to see what it does at around the $0.50. Packing my patience and also keeping an eye on 18.7. We really dropped, guys. I mean, we printed 18.765, and in less than 5 minutes, we dropped to 18.575. So we almost dropped 200 points in the same time that it took us. I mean, it was a lot longer to move up than it was to move down. Isn't that always the case, though, right? Trader CL, Jamia looks fun. JMIA, let me have a look at that.
Well, this one loves to run every once in a while.
Oh, yeah.
Jamia.
Jamia, what are we doing on volume today, Dare? About 3 million shares. Not the biggest amount of volume we got, but we'll look at it for Trader CL because he likes trading CL. Contracting, that's good. All right, here, let's load it up. GMIA. Let me give you the details on this one first, okay? So it's a $500 million market cap, so it's not a small cap gapper. It's about 3.1 million shares on the day. The float says about 13.5 million. And let's find out what the short float is. JMIA. Oh, I put MIA. That's not it. JMIA. 6.5% of that 100 some odd million shares, according to Trade Ideas, 13.5 million shares on IBKR. So we'll see which one is right there. But JMIA, yeah, it's that high a day, man. 495. There is this area here in the. This is the IB high from 9 a.m. Keep an eye out for this 492 area. That's as good as we could do right there in the morning. So we're about 20 pennies in the money now on Apple. But here's the $0.50. So we said we would take it out in front of the $0.50. Let's just wait a little bit to see if we can get a breach. Looks like we're getting selling at that. There is the $0.50, and we'll just wet our beak there. So happy with this trade. 218.50 gets breached here on Apple. 1 1/5 in the green right now on the day for AAPL. We'll see what happens, though, when we get into 219, right? Because look at this area here on 219. We danced. We
Boogied.
You see the breakdancing on...
Oh,
there's
the
a lot
Australian
of hateration.
woman? Yeah, they were... She was having a good time, okay?
Exactly.
Rachel was having a great time.
Look, do I think she's the best breakdancer ever? No. No. As someone who used to breakdance in high school?
I did not know
Oh, I got
that.
videos of Dara.
That's
I was
weirdly
actually
in
pretty
character.
good.
This does not surprise me, actually.
I'll actually show you videos
Please
maybe
do.
in a little bit.
It's very of the era as well.
Oh, it was so...
Yeah, I was
we
gonna
had
say,
like
it
this
makes sense.
area under the... Well, I'm going to play them on the show.
Sure, then we'll see them.
So I think you were going to see them anyway. But Ramram wanted to know if she could see them. So I don't think she's the best, but I wouldn't sit there and just, on
tried.
her all day. Like
tried.
Everybody was bad wording her.
Yeah, and they weren't on the Olympics.
Like, leave her
In the
alone.
Olympics. She made it to the Olympics.
Yeah.
So she's clearly, in Australia's mind, one of the better breakdancers.
See, the Canadian guy from Vancouver
I
won
did
gold,
not.
baby. Oh, yeah.
I need to see
Canadian
that.
love for breakdancing.
There's some good Canadian breakdancers.
Oh, yeah, fantastic. So, yeah, that was a tough part there. But, yeah, anyway, Apple 219, guys, it was doing the dance with breakdancing or no pants, whatever you want to talk about there. It breached 219 by about $0.50, but it was a topping tail, ugly candle on the 5-minute for AAPL. So I'm all eyes and ears and everything else at 219. I want to see if we're going to be met with the wall of selling that we were met with earlier. That was an 11.10 rejection. So you're not going to make the case to me that was an IB high, volatility, this, that, and the other. No. This was an 11.10 print. So it shouldn't, unless there was a wall of selling, it shouldn't have reacted like that. Moving into the $0.75 is the dead one, Apple, as it breaches the $0.50 right now. Let's see if it can work its way into that 219. I'm going to be all eyes there for the possible short. I'm not going to have a resting order to take me short there and then get beat up because it'll squeeze. I need proof that 219 is a level on the day, and then if it's not, I'll take it long. I don't care. Eddie R, come on, Grandpa, show us those videos. Wow, this Grandpa can run circles around you, boys. So be quiet. Pretty Panda, GNLN is blasting. Let's have a look at GNLN. Let's load up this bad boy. Here, GNLN. Sorry, guys. Allow me a minute. I had this one on my side chart. There it is. Yes. Good look. Thank you very much for bringing this to my attention. This was south of VWAP, and that's why I didn't really care much about it when we had it on the side chart. Here comes $9 though. We know 1043, 10.5 is the high of the day. What I want to see though is whether we hold that volume weighted average price on a closing basis. Look what we did when we breached it to the downside. We had a couple of candles over here, 940 and this 955 candle on the 5, which rejected the volume weighted average price. We've been below it for a hot minute now. So I want to see, can we reclaim it on a closing basis? If we can, this becomes all of a sudden tradable, because I'm not the only person that says, oh, I don't trade small cap gappers below VWAP. I didn't make that up. You know what I mean? I'm taking that from somebody else. So if I'm thinking it, there's probably other people who are thinking it as well. So if we can stay above VWAP here, I think we'll have more market participation in this name. And if we do, then that obviously equals some trading opportunities. So GNLN, thank you very much for pointing that out. I had kind of lost sight of these small cap gappers today, Dara, as I started focusing on the Meg 7.
Yeah, to be fair, I mean, the Meg 7, where they were doing their thing 21. Shout out to your Apple trade there. The 219 level on Apple, that was when I was involved in that first long. And that thing was capital bamboozlement nation, population 1, population Apple. Also, Eli Lilly, I had an order here. Happy I canceled it because I saw some stuff in the book I didn't like. I was trying to get involved in 890s because at that moment, you know, forget the Mona Lisa. I was looking at the Mona Lily over here, okay? She's gradually climbing higher. Beautiful support at 889. And hey, girl, if you hold support here, if you keep support at 889, I will go long. But I was basically looking to get long at 890s with using 889 as a stop because 890s were holding gorgeous, like just beautifully. And the thing that I like about these spready names, I just talked about it like on CrowdStrike. And if I ever trade Meta, it's something I look for as well. When you have a spready name, what I like to see is if we have on the bid side, if you're looking for a long, slight like cent upticks, especially if it's a more spready name like Lilly. So what I was seeing was 890s, 62 on the bid, 890, 63. These slight gradual upticks is just beautiful. It's the type of thing you want to see. And Eli Lilly just got to 889, but look who's bouncing. Miss Lilly. I'm going to get involved at 89.50. I'm going to risk into mid 888s. Again, this is all based on levels I saw on the book. But also, you know what else you're going to be seeing here in just a second is going to be Neil with his lesson du jour. Let's go.
Get it, Neil.
Welcome to the lesson of the day. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about a fight or anything like that, but in trading terms, one of the things you can think about is the bigger a price level might be, then the greater the price action you'd expect off of it. Now, a lot of times we're like, oh, this stock is at a huge monster level on the daily or the weekly, and everybody wants to take a breakout because if it gets above this price, it's going to absolutely fly. But I think that works in both ways. And you got to consider that sometimes when you have a monster level where there is a breakout attempt that doesn't work or that retraces back through. Like the harder it can fall because there's so many eyeballs on it. And the example, you might have been able to guess it if you were watching last week, $30 on Palantir was just an absolute monster level. I got a weekly chart up so you can see here. There's 30. This is September of 2021. When it was at $30. You then had a test just underneath here in March, and then a double top going into 30. On Friday, it was breached. It was a strong upward move post earnings into that $30 level. It made the breakout. It didn't lose. If you took that break on Friday, no question about it, you were in a winning trade, and I don't think at any point you should have done poorly. It was a trend up all day long on Palantir. And when it finally made the break, it was relatively clean. Like you have the break here, it's able to get up to like the 20s or so, but it just retraces. So the initial scalp good. It never goes underneath like 29.90, so not much of a pullback. Then it trends up again. It closed exactly at that $30 level. Now this, you could say, hey, that's a warning sign, but it held that 30. So a lot of traders, and myself included, thinking continuation if it's just going to hold out the high. It ends up breaking out the top and everything's looking exactly like it did the week before. But it's what happened when it failed the break that I think is instructive here. Now, I don't have any short sells on it. That's why I think it was valuable for it to be the lesson of the day. Super strong move, tries to hold on to VWAP in a higher low, fails 31. This is it turning on VWAP. And this is the thing. If it was crowded on the 30 break on Friday was just trend up, trend up, trend up. What's it going to look like when it's clearing the high on that weekly and now you're opening above that for a secondary push? You got a lot of swing longs probably looking for that next step up. You got a lot of day trade longs that are going to be in there. Just so much activity and strength going into the name that when it lost VWAP, it was an explosive move to the downside. I mean, if you caught this, and I'm not saying I did again, but if you caught that, it was a huge reversal. And I think one of the things you want to consider when you get false breakouts in these situations, I'm not telling you every single out is going to be a turn, but the reversion trade on a massive level break on a multiple time frame level is going to be explosive. In this particular case, it ended up trending down the entire morning into an up market. Like this turned around, the market was trending higher the whole time that this was coming down. And it's not alone. You know, there's another name out here, and just to prove that I'm not saying this because I was trading Palantir and I saw that bit of a curl. You also have something like a Shopify. Now, it's not the same in terms of necessarily the significance of the level on a weekly or on a weekly chart. But if you pop up the daily, this was just as popular a post-earnings name on monster strength last week. If you were just every single day playing the continuation strong earnings longs, every day there was an opportunity somewhere to be long after the earnings on Shopify. But it goes into a very, very distinct top. There's $70. There's $70. You have big support that it gapped through that turned immediately into resistance on retest and then to almost a penny there, holding again that 70 level. So again, the story becomes when you fail a breakout. This time, it wasn't a continuation break. It was a straight break at the open through the $70 level. And then look what happens when it fails the 70 level. There's your fail 70. There's your consolidation. And then as the market's trending up, it's trending into the downside. So it's not necessarily about, oh, every single failed break is going to be huge. But the bigger and more popular the level might be, so super bullish, both those names post earnings. So you had a clear trend going into this after earnings on both of them. They were longs almost every day last week for all the traders that were trading on a daily basis since the earnings. Going into a monster level on the higher time frame that a lot of eyeballs might be looking for swing entries. So day traders, swing traders, everybody is aligned that this is starting to go. And you had that big market reversal last Monday. When a level like that fails, the sellers came in droves. And that was key because I look over at the relatively weak names that started with breakouts, and they both fit this exact pattern, Shopify and Palantir. So there are going to be times, and I'm not saying you got to be in the reversal right away, but once it was clear they lost those breakouts and the market was still going up there, going down, you had to be able to flip it. Thank goodness, get out of the long is the least you can do, but if you can flip it short, that's even better. Be careful for those massive, massive failed breakouts. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. That's your lesson of the day.
Thank you very much, Neil. Informative, eloquent, and you guys know what I'm going to say? Awesome as always, Neil Roberts, baby. Every day around that noon hour, he's dropping hot lines. We call it Neilage around these parts. So if you like some Neilage, you're going to join us around that afternoon session. Sorry, I was just talking to BPI, Big Patty Ice. Him and I always discussing the different aspects of the market, psychology included, and he was letting me know some stuff right there. So sorry, I was just not a little bit ready for that. All right, let's have a look at what is moving on these markets. We got that almost 218 touch, 218.80 touch there, Ram. And then we came back down into about a fifth of a dollar. There is an interesting level of possible support at 218 and a quarter, 218 a fifth. We saw it initially on our move up as we got into that 80 area, came back and tested 20 a couple of times over here, putting in higher lows. We come back right into that 20 again, 218.20. and yet we're finding more support. That's why I got involved last time at around over here for that exact reason, because of that 218.20 support, and it did move up a nice 60 pennies there. But the market zigging and zagging right now as we topping tail 18,725 on the futures contract, and we're right back down below 18.7 again. So lots of weakness coming in right now midday. And most of the Mag 7, I should say, are most of them red? Yeah, 3 of the 7. So sorry, I stand corrected. We got Meta red, Google is red, and Tesla is red. Amazon's green, Apple's green, Microsoft green, and Nvidia is just up huge, 4 1/3%. So it's the #1 performing Mag 7 stock on the day, but it's been very tightly bound here to the volume weighted average price for the better part of an hour, 11:20, almost an hour, I should say, ever since we got that midday Huadunk, bringing Nvidia down from that 1060 print that it was hanging out around at. The lowest we could print there was at 108.50, holding the 50 exponential on the 5. NVDA, the #1 performing Mag 7 name on the day. I'm sure we'll have more to say about that bad boy. But don't forget, the afternoon rundown is nothing without you guys. If you don't vote, we don't have material with which to bring you at 2 o'clock. So get into the chat right now. Bully your friends. Do what you need to do in order to get your ticker made up onto the board. Only the top 5 tickers make it up there. So get into the chat. Exclamation point, the word join, space, $, and your ticker of choice. Shout out. I guess to Fabian, who made that animation. Was it Fabian? It was Fabian. Shout out to Fabian over there. Yeah, absolutely doing the most in a really good way, Dara.
I love Ramin dying. You got Ramin with the Fabian.
Because it's an inside joke.
It is an inside joke.
He knows where it's from.
The way
she
you
knows.
say it is very, like you say it very accurately.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you shout out to Ramin and Fabian. But I can't say it properly. So Eli Lilly, I'm happy I tried this trade, though it was not fruitful, but I managed it appropriately. And I think like I said, one thing too, why I've liked hiding the P&L is because then you're trading less on P&L. You're more trading like, would I take this trade? Do I like this trade? Because that can help you, I would like to say, build good habits. So I got long exactly where I wanted to, mid 889s. Didn't work out. We got into that mid 880s level, dropped. I got out. Again, happy with how I managed it. All good there. Now, of course, we're continuing to hold this level. But the reason I'm not getting back in is because when I go on the 10-minute chart, and I said this earlier, I initially liked it as a short before flipping to a long thesis. I think this could be a flat bottom break. And if we get decisively below 887s, I'm willing to take another stab at the old Eli Lilly, another jab of Eli Lilly there.
That's a really
Because this looks like a beautiful flat bottom break. And I know what levels I would take profit at. I would take profit at 884 because I love that level going back last week. Now we wicked below that, came up quite steadily. I'm not rushing into this, but I have eyes on it. That being said, I'm not clearly the correct way to take this was that first move up above 890. Not disappointed I missed it, though, because not taking that trade allowed me to take the SPY trade. So you always have to have silver linings. Stay positive. Do not revenge trade. Look for opportunities. But while I wait for Lilly to set up, there are some other things I like. PLTR, for example. Though I like it a lot less now that we're below the 90 MA. I like that we were kind of trying to scoop back up here in the 90 on the 90 MA. That being said, lower highs and lower lows for this one worth noting here. What else people looking at here? Lots of mentions here of join BITO, join Penn. Is mustache still valid for this date? So Hans Beer. Unfortunately, Stash is still not a ticker, though at one point it actually was one of the top voted tickers to the point where Brendan would include it when he was sending us the list of tickers with the top votes because it was getting votes. QQQs, I'm playing puts to Friday, says Jay. QQQs are actually kind of rangy right now in a way that I don't dislike. I mean, I never dislike a range. Let's be really real with ourselves. She's always joking. Every time he mentions a range, I'm like, oh, who that? But the Qs here, okay, so a little bit less rangy than they maybe seem to be on my 5-minute, which is a bit more zoomed out perhaps. But I do like these higher lows here. I think if we bounce here off that 452-ish area where we had a little bit of pre-market support, or where is this? This is like 10-15, a little bit of resistance in the pre-market. This could be interesting. But like I said, I find for whatever reason, if I want to trade a futures or a futures derivative, I feel way more comfy trading the S&P 500 than I do trading the Qs. So we'll see what I do there. Good times, though. Make sure you guys vote for your tickers of choice. Amazon, are you rangy? I have to hit you up, maybe. How are you doing?
I'm seeing topping tails come into Tesla. And that's having me not concerned, but paying attention. So we talked about this double bottom. I paper-handed a really good possible trade here. I was in at 195. This thing went up to 197 and a quarter. This double bottom was really staring at me. But look how we don't breach the neckline, that 198 area. We don't even weasel up to it. We're putting topping tails through VWAP. So we're not really clearing VWAP with any vigor. We're behind that. We're lower than that 198 obvious area of resistance. Look how many topping tails we had through 198, and we couldn't take it on a closing basis at all. So here's the look. We started doing this dance right at 9:35. 198's elusive whatever price on Tesla on the day, and I don't know why, and I quite frankly do not care. As long as it comes into play and it respects the level one way or another. We're gonna have to see what it does if it weasels up into 198. But what it's doing now, it's putting in these multiple candles of indecision. So if we get that anemic VWAP break and we start putting in doji candles a little bit above the volume weighted average price, and that future is right at 19.7 and it gives way, I'm taking this bad boy short. So Tesla smells like a short to me. If it can't clear VWAP at this level and it can't get into that 198, I like it. I don't have to be first. And we know how volatile this can be, especially now we've tested this 195 area, high 194s twice today with a lower high now, right? We didn't even get to 198. So if we get back into 194, high 194, 195 area, we could give way. We'll wait and see. I mean, we don't have to be first again. So please pack in my patience on this trade. I've also wet my beak here on some profits on INDO. This came right into my entry or my last beak wetter right in front of 4, and lo and behold, as per usual, it doesn't cross. And as a result of not crossing, and by that means the bid is printing at my price, not the ask, I didn't get filled. So right now, break even or 1 penny in the money. A whole 1 penny in the money, but I'm going to wait for a possible move back into 4. Now, I've got shorts for this, right? Neil was able to hook me up with short. Thank you very much, Neil. Always doing the absolute most in a good way. So if this comes into 4 and I get my beak wet there and it doesn't breach 4, or it breaches it, but it's an anemic breach, I'm hitting short, okay? But I need to see what I want to see before I actually do it. I'm not going to have resting orders. You know how I roll. So looking at INDO, for that $4 touch and reject, I'd like to wet my beak there on some profits on the long first before I get it short. We'll keep eyes on that. Uh-oh, Apple coming down as it breaches that 218 area on the day. We were waxing poetic, to use an Adara term, about that 218 and a fifth, 218 and a quarter being a local area of resistance. Well, we're going to have to put that whole theory into question at the moment, as we did get a breach of that 218 level. So we'll keep an eye on AAPL. Keep an eye on this 219 level, because number one, we couldn't breach it on a closing basis, and now we're putting in a lower high with that 218.75. So could be a nice possible move down. Look for that lower low. That 217 and a quarter breach on a closing basis could be also quite telling for what may come in the more liquid time of the day right now. Not that time. So packing my patience with INDO, keeping my eye on Apple and Tesla is showing me what I want so far. Look at this, round to top with these candles of indecision, with each successive candle having a lower high than its predecessor, and here putting in a lower low. So you're getting that round to top through a breach of a key technical level vis-a-vis the volume weighted average price. And in addition to that, you're not able to get to that previous area of technical resistance in the same way that Apple isn't coming back to that 219. TSLA not coming back into that 198, now dancing at 197 and a quarter to the high side at the most there.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just staring at Eli Lilly. I got my 887 breakdown and I was more aggressive about it. Like I said, I was like, the second we get into 887 on the bid side, you act. What? Oh, sorry. Ramin said she was scared. Yeah, sorry, I apologize. I'm not trying to scare you there. But yeah, we got that Lilly breakdown. We get into the 887s and I'm like, okay, let's act. Wasn't able to get filled at 887.50, so I'm like, cool, no worries. So I get involved right at 887s or 886.99s. the lowest we've wicked to was like 886 evens, then we kind of pop back up here. I'm willing to actually risk here into just below 889s. I want to see what we do approaching 889s. Why? Because A, like I said, I like the 889s level. B, we have not been at said 889s level for a few moons. And by, I don't want to say many moons because it hasn't been many moons, but it's been a few moons. It's been a little while. And B, like I said, I want 884s to get out part of this position. So I'm willing, that's like a weird 60% thirds risk to reward ratio that it's weird, but I'm okay with it. I'm trying to reward more than I am risking. So I'm all right with that. Eli Lilly, let's see you get nicely back below here to this 886 level. And the thing is, yeah, like some, you know, obviously, do you want losing trades? No, you don't, especially because I know I had a good morning other than these Lilly trades, but I feel good about this level. And I would honestly, like, the thing too you have to think about is, would you regret not taking the trades? I, without a doubt, would have regretted not getting involved in Lilly here when we had that beautiful flat bottom breakdown that Sharif and I were talking about in that 10-minute chart. So, you know, you do miss 100% of the trades you don't make, and that's sometimes what it's the balance of the evidence. Would I regret not taking it? Yes, I would. So by that factor, I have enough risk that I can do this, and I'd rather risk that. And make sure if there's any stocks that you are loving or hating today, if you're feeling any strong opinions about today, and you're like, hey, what would Neil and or Sean and or both have to say about this ticker? And I say and or because sometimes Neil has different opinions on some of the penny stocks, you know what I mean? Get in that chat, exclamation point, join, space, $, whatever tickers are fancy. Maybe you're also smoking that Indo with Wills Addison and Sharif over there. Maybe you got some energy in that Indo. Maybe you've been sipping on some Starbucks, SBUX. We know that had some catalyst. Whatever pun-related ticker you're looking at, pun or otherwise, get in that chat, exclamation point, join, space, $, that ticker, and just make sure, you know, like I said, with all your trades, you want to make sure you're looking at the balance of the evidence, something I'm trying to do. Mini Cat 3 with a 10 euro super chat. Check AAPL on NASDAQ. Thank you. Cool sunglasses. We're going to look at that after we look at this.
Reimer, can we put it? Oh yeah, this is 17-year-old me, my parents' old house. Adara. Oh. This is the windmill. So
you were good.
Yeah, I was actually not bad. I can do the flare too, and I could do something called
the hands, the floppy hands.
Yeah. I used to have that problem. Oh, this didn't help me in high school. I'll tell you that. To work out of that.
I got dark. But yeah, I'll take a look at this ADAP quickly for this super chat. Check ADP in the NASDAQ. I like the little cool man sunglasses. Yeah, Professor B-Boy Sharif says, Darwin, I'm just dying at the blank expression you give to the camera and you standing up like that.
I'm just like, yo, man.
But honestly, you were very good there. Shout out to you. ADAP in the NASDAQ here, Adaptimmune. They do have about 3 million shares traded on the day. Not a bad look. Kind of looking similar to a lot of these markets where they a little bit weaker and trying to curl back up with some support. Let's look at the 5-minute chart. Also kind of the same here. Some support at 116 around which we are currently trading. Let's take a look at the daily chart if the chart will allow me to do so. Let me pull that daily back up. Let's go, Adaptimmune. It's not being very adaptable here. Let me look at this chart. No, I'm joking. That's my charts issue. Let's take a look at that daily. Here you go. So we do have Adaptimmune here. Oh, it's on the NASDAQ. Come on, Adara. I need to be more adaptimmunable to this, this Adaptimmune. If it will let... It's been a little slow. I apologize there. Mini Cat 3, thank you very much for your super chat. But like I said, I do think that 116 level where it looks like we've broken down to support a little bit, that's not a bad area for me on like a shorter term time frame, say a 5-minute or a 10-minute chart. But let's take a look at ADAP on a daily. It's not showing you the daily. I'm going to see if I can pull up this on TradingView perhaps, because I want to make it, oh yeah, here we go. Okay, never mind, sorry, the daily has been pulled up. So I do think we have slightly higher lows here on the daily chart from that low we got here in June, but definitely, oh, I actually like this. Okay, so I think there's definitely some support here around this, this 90-cent level. We had it as support, down to a little bit of resistance there in mid-June before curling back up, bouncing up. Now we've made a slightly higher low around 95 cents. It's a penny stock. I don't have a great read on it, and I think with these two, you have to be where they do kind of chop and churn a lot, but kind of in a bit of a range right now, I guess, for this ADAP.
Oh, yeah.
I'm probably not the best person to look at this chart for you, but thank you very much for the super chat. Also, I cannot get over how good of a breakdancer you are.
Oh, that's nice of you to
I really
say,
like
Dara.
that. That was fun.
That's nice. I actually have better videos, but hopefully I'll bring those in. Yeah. I mean, it was just like we used to have a little like jam sesh in the lunch hour. It would be like the breakdancing corner, Adara, and we would always hide from the teachers because they were worried about liability.
That makes sense. With
Right.
breakdancing.
Exactly.
And it was like the 90s, I'm sure, where it's like really rife with breakdancing.
Oh God, yeah. It was actually an 80s thing. That's why I know the Sugar Hill Gang, because you couldn't.
I love the Sugar Hill
Adara,
Gang.
you had to buy videos and replay the videos over it, VHS videos, Adara, and learn how to breakdance. There was no YouTube.
The Sugar Hill Gang?
Yeah, because it was literally what everybody was dancing
That's
to.
amazing.
Right? Good time.
Shout out the Sugar Hill
Ken
Gang.
Owen, shout out to you, my man. I'm very happy you printed up a storm on, what was it called again, this one? INDO, shout out to you. I know you and Willis Addison are absolutely killing it on that. I was able to wet my beak on some more profits on this one. Obviously not the banger that you and Willis Addison have, but here comes $4 again, and we know for dang certain that 4 is an important level. Whether locally or otherwise, we know for certain that we came into 4, bounced off it umpteen amount of times over here before giving way big boy right at 10 after 12 there. Now we're working right back into 12. So if we take 12 on a closing basis and it's a decisive break through that $12 level, I'll be looking long. Either way, it doesn't make a difference to me. I've got shorts and obviously I've got ability to go long on this one, but $4 a very important. There it is. Here comes 405. All right, so let's see now. Is this a quick wick and a wham bam thank you Indo, or are we going to continue to move up here through that $4 area? We know that the short float, a little bit larger than usual, not the biggest we've ever seen by any stretch of the imagination, but keep your eye on INDO. AI. It's a shame. You are not Australian. Leave that woman alone. Let her do her thing. You know what I mean? I don't think she was the best break dancer out there, but
she tried really
did.
hard, and she put herself on the national, international stage.
She did.
And I liked her outfit.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was. Wasn't it the
team
green?
jacket.
Yeah, it was a team jacket. Yeah, look, and her Olympic board represented her. I mean, they defended her. The woman came out that
which I
she's like,
appreciate
look,
as well.
was the best break dancer in the women's division that Australia had to offer, and
she tried.
She tried.
So shout out to her.
Yeah.
Also, it's not the 90s, okay? We can't expect her to be breakdancing a storm with the Sugar Hill Gang like Mr. Sharif, okay? She did what she could. I want to shout out Miss Rachel, whose last name I don't remember, but I know her first name.
Neither do I, yeah. Nah, I don't know about that, Ram.
That was good, Ramin.
Ram's back, guys. Adam Duluth Sharif representing Canada in the LA Olympics 2028. Wouldn't I just absolutely love that? I'm too old, man. Old man hands can't hang. Jay Lee.
Old man hands can't break down.
Can you believe that I can actually still get a couple times around?
Really?
And I can't continue to go like that. Video incoming, Adara.
I was going to say, that's what the eyebrows are for.
Proof incoming. I know it's a show me proof kind of desk over here.
It is.
Jay Lee.
We are.
Take it short, 415, 420. I see what you're talking about, Jay. Absolutely. We may not even get to 415, Jay. We got into 405, Ram, and we rejected 405. For now, we're still zigging and zagging right now, though, Jay. I want to see it resolve. I don't need to be first, but I think your levels are absolutely accurate. There is a 415 obvious level of resistance, and the other level you're talking about, 420, Jay. Okay. I see you, Jay. Shout out to you. Shout out to you, Jay. Let's see what else is going on over here. So a bit of a move down on some of these names, Apple included. We got into that 218.75, and that was as good as we could do. Now we're putting in bottoming tails, though, at 218. So this is interesting. So we're coming into the volume weighted average price, which is at 217.75, 217 4/5, but we're still putting in lower lows and lower highs. So I want to see what we do around that 217.80, 217.75. I'll be very interested in getting long there. The long there initially has worked, but we are putting in those lower highs and those lower lows. So we could see the winds of change coming on this level. There's also support at the $0.75, basically based on the opening candle break there, got into $0.0025, but it's a $200 name. So we'll keep tabs on that. Let's flip back to some of the small cap gappers that we had our eye on. BBAI still at the volume weighted average price, but it really is more about INDO for me than anything else. I know GNLN This one was okay. It did breathe. See, this is what I was talking about. Remember when we were talking about GNLN before we sent it to Neil? I got into 9, and then that was as good as it could do. And that's why I say I don't want to be first. I need proof that this thing is going to hold up above the volume-weighted average price, because you get these moves, and then you get retracements right back into that level. So GNLN, not a really good look. Adira, anything you want to mention before we start the lesson?
I mean, Lily is still doing her thing. I'm like slightly in the money. I don't want to jinx it at all because it's Lily.
Yep.
But I have to say, like I said, I'm packing an abundance of patience in this right now. I've said that in the chat because with Lily, you can't run out. Right now, like we have not gone more than $1 against it since I've been in. It was for Lily, like honestly kind of impressed. No jinx. Don't hear me, Lily. Don't listen. But also, I want to talk about this SMCI for Darius Golden because I have to say, I don't think I'm seeing the same thing as you. Darius Golden said flat bottom break on SMCI. So generally for the flat bottom break, it's usually going to be in stocks that are down in the day. SMCI is up about 7.5% in the day and we're holding VWAP. I have to say to you, Darius Golden, unless we break below that 544, I think this is really bullish on SMCI. I think right now it's a range at this 554 to 550. I don't want to say really bullish. I think if we break up at 550, it'll look better. But I got to be honest with you. Also, with all of these wicks down here into that 540 bouncing back up, I think the way that we're holding VWAP on SMCI to me is not incredibly bearish as of right now. If we break below VWAP in that 544, maybe another story. But right now, I'm not seeing a flat bottom break as much as I'm seeing some strength holding at VWAP. But that's my take on SMCI. Come on, Lily, do something for me.
Get it, Adira.
We'll see.
If you, whatever you want, you let me know when you want to interrupt, because that's a more important thing, the trade that you're in.
If there's anything to interrupt over, I'll let you know.
Sounds good.
Go Lessons.
Darwin, 2,000 likes, and Sharif breaks on stage or not. Look, I'll do it, but I need more likes than that, Darwin. I will do it. I even have my gym clothes. You guys know I hit the gym right before I go to my other job, right? So I hit the gym. I go from here straight to the gym. So the gym clothes are always packed. But I will have to bring in new type of gym clothes. I got to protect my knees, man. I'm old. All right, let's get to the lesson, Ram. All right, guys, we're talking about earnings all week long. We discussed it last week. We're going to continue with the lesson today about earnings. Today, though, we're going to talk specifically about those after-hours trades and what you need to be made aware of. We're not really going to be talking about too many strategies, although we will give you a couple. What we really want you to know is the pros and cons and the risks of possibly trading after hours and some of the technical issues or technical knowledge that you need to have to execute orders after hours. So let's get right to it. The after hours market is certainly a unique trading environment, don't I know it, characterized by increased volatility and potential for significant price movements. Understanding, though, the dynamics of this market can unlock your opportunities for those savvy traders. All right, so the importance of after-hours trading, let's get right to it. So we already prefaced this. Increased volatility is almost part and parcel of that kind of trade. So earnings announcements after hours often trigger sharp price fluctuations, which can lead to larger profit opportunities, compared to those regular trading hours. And there's obviously, with the larger moves, comes larger opportunity for price moves. So the reduced number of participants executing orders in the after hours can amplify those price movements, right? This can create chances for significant gains or losses. So the fact that there is a less liquidity in the market means that there are fewer walls to prevent the price from going up, but similarly or conversely, fewer protections for the price moving down. So you're able to get up and get down without as much resistance or support. So that's what creates volatility, less market participation in the after hours. But then there's also the first mover advantage here. So if you get into an earnings winner or short an earnings loser before any of the bigger money have had an opportunity to go through the buying and selling committees or, whatever, program their algos if they haven't already responded to it, whatever the case is, you can have first mover advantage, right? So traders who quickly react to the earnings news can potentially capitalize on price trends before they become widely known. But what are some of the risks now of after hours trading? You probably were able to deduce some of that already. First and foremost, lower liquidity. We talked about the increased volatility as a result of lower liquidity. So lower liquidity is a risk. Why? So reduced trading volume can result in wider bid-ask spreads. So if you've been trading and you use level 2, you know on the left side is the bid, the right side is the ask, and the difference between the top price is the spread. So $200.25 is the most amount anybody's willing to pay for Apple. I'm giving you random numbers, okay? And $20.30 is the least anyone is willing to sell Apple. That difference between 25 and 30 pennies, that 5 penny, that's the spread. That's a cost of doing business, getting in and getting out without even the price moving, okay? So you need to be aware of the spread in the aftermarket. Typically, it's wider. There's also more chance for market manipulation as a result of the lack of liquidity. So the potential for manipulation is higher, again, due to lower trading volume. False rumors or misleading news or misleading information or whatever the situation is can absolutely bamboozle you into a trade only to revert right back once people discover the actual truth. So you need to be on the lookout for possible manipulation. Increased volatility, we already mentioned this, but while volatility offers opportunities, of course, we're day traders, we want volatility, it also increases the risk of rapid and unpredictable price swings, so you need to be ready for that. So let's talk about some strategies now for getting in and getting out of some trades in the aftermarket. The first one is scalping. You see the Katina man scalping up a storm. Adara loves to scalp up a storm as well, so you're well acquainted with how to scalp or what the details or the nuances of scalping are. Basically, you're looking for rapid price movements and you're taking nice little quick trades there. But that's not the trade that I really want to focus on. The equities straddle. We talked about the option straddle last week. Now we're going to talk about the equity straddle. What is this? So it involves placing a buy order slightly above the price and a sell order slightly below the price. So let's just give you an example. 200 is the level we closed on Apple. I'm just giving you random numbers. Right before earnings. We closed right at 200. So you're going to go and you're going to like, all right, great. What's the implied volatility expected for Apple? And the way you're going to do that is to check what the market chameleon says or whatever your program says. So let's just say options traders or options analysts are predicting plus or minus 6%. So you know that this thing could move up, $212 or dip down at an equal amount, okay? So you say to yourself, all right, I'm going to place a buy order above 202 and a sell order below 198, just to give yourself a little bit of room away from the price. And whichever order triggers, I'm going to go there. So here, I'm going to show you exactly how I mean by that. All right, so let's go to Apple. Let's go to the daily chart. That ain't it. That's AAP. That's not going to cut it, Adara. Let's go.
Not going to cut it.
No. So here's the daily chart on Apple. Now, obviously, I wouldn't be executing on a daily, but I want to show you this $200 price level, and we're already far away from it now. So I'm going to go ahead, use a buy order. I'm going to put my buy order at $202. And then I'm going to simultaneously select a sell order to go short. I'm going to put it at 198. All right? So what ends up happening is that the earnings play comes out, and you get one of these orders triggers. That is assuming that it chooses a direction and goes with it, and it doesn't zig and zag. So what sometimes happens with these earnings plays is it'll dip before it pops, it will pop before it dips, and in those plays, you're gonna likely take an L. So what I ended up doing was try to look to see what the historical release of the earnings for that particular name was by literally going back on the 1-minute chart 3 months ago, 6 months ago, 9 months ago, 12 months ago to see if there was that zig and zag. And even when I was able to find ones that never zigged and zagged, sometimes they still did. So you really need to be able to understand that this is going to be, a luck of the draw sort of thing over here, okay? Now you can change the trade by not executing the orders until it chooses a direction. You can do any number of things, but the point of to explain this whole trade is a straddle. You're trying to take advantage and see which way the stock is going to move after earnings. Sometimes it zigs and zags, and that is a problem, okay? The pros for this type of trade are potential for high returns, obviously, as the price moves significantly in either direction. The cons are, obviously, it can zig and zag, and you can get yourself in some trouble being getting short, then getting long with the long order triggering if you haven't already canceled it, or it going against you, whatever the situation is, there's lots of different things that can happen. Let's talk about the order types, though. The order types are super important for what kind of orders can work after market. I really need to be very specific about this. Market orders in all forms, whether stop market orders, whether just regular buy, sell market orders, they are not going to work in the aftermarket. So you need to use limit orders. Now, there's not just one type of limit. You can use stop limits as well. And that's what I do, okay? So let me bring back in the chart over here because I need to explain this particular type of order. So let's go. We're gonna put our straddle order, $202 and $198 on Apple. All right. Here's the look. Now, because of the illiquidity in the aftermarket, if 202 triggers, like I have my order here at $202.04, if I don't give this a spread to say to the computer, my triggering price should be $202, but pay up to $203. That's what we call a stop limit order. And you're giving the computer 2 data points there. Your triggering price that triggers at 202, but if there is no liquidity, all the way up until 203, the computer will fill it, okay? And so that you're giving it a spread, a $1 spread between your orders. Now, what's very important here is you have to understand that there is exchange rules that could get you into some trouble, especially for the cheaper price names. What do I mean by that? If your triggering order and your limit order are more than 3% away from each other, for example, if the 202 price is my limit price is more than 3% away from $202, it will not fill. Similarly, if my limit price below 198 for the bottom straddle is more than 3% away from that 198, it will not fill. And it'll give you an error, okay? So you need to make sure that if you're gonna use a straddle, the limit between the trigger and the limit, or the spread, sorry, between the trigger and the limit is less than 3% of the actual price of the stock. So that's what you have to do there. So here's how we do it. We go in and we're gonna basically give the computer 2 data points. We're gonna say the order price is gonna be a stop limit order. So the order type is a stop limit order. Your triggering price is gonna be $202.01, but I wanna pay all the way up to $203.25. That is basically the spread. You're telling the computer fill any order if there is liquidity between $202 and $203.25. And the reason you do that is because almost always there will be a lack of liquidity. If you put out a limit order without a spread, say $202.25, chances of you getting filled on that order first time around anyway are very slim. That's why you give the computer a spread so you can increase the likelihood of you getting filled. Right? And the same thing goes for the south side as well. So the same order type for the north side, same order type for the south side. So let's talk about these orders. So limit orders, basically what they do is they specify the price at which you want to buy or sell. They are generally the most common types of orders in the aftermarket. Market orders, as I already alluded to, will not work in the aftermarket, so don't use them. And stop orders will work if they're stop limit orders. Stop market orders will not work, okay? Technology, tips for successful trading after hours. Let's talk about your brokerage. So the brokerage, which allows you to trade outside regular market trading outside regular market hours, is very important here. If your brokerage cuts off buy and sell orders at 4, you're not going to be able to participate. Risk management as well, super important. Implement strict stop losses and position sizing, to protect your capital. As we mentioned, it's awfully volatile after market, so that your position sizing should reflect that so that you can risk manage effectively. And market research. I told you I would go back almost a year to see if that stock zigged and zagged upon the earnings release. Oh, hello. Zigged and zagged upon the earnings release. And even though I did almost a year worth of research, sometimes it will still zig and zag. So you have to research your earnings plays here. What time do they report? What happened on prior earnings releases? Did it spike in one direction or did it zig and zag? You're really gonna need to look over all of that. And emotional control, super important here as well. Price action after hours can be extremely volatile, so avoid impulsive decisions based on fear or greed and stick to your trading plan. So if you have one specific stock that you want to trade after hours, and you lose on it, don't jump to the next one. Try to exact revenge. Try to stay within your plan. Obviously, a lot easier said than done, Adair.
I was just going to say, I'm sure FOMO was really hard. Like, let's say that NVIDIA 1000 break, I'm sure was probably pretty tempting for some people to FOMO. So just being careful, making sure. With that in mind, I got out of Lily. I am very happy with how I managed it, but I did not make any profit on it. But honestly, I would have regretted not taking the trade, and I would have regretted getting out earlier. So at one point, this was like $1 in the money. But for Lily, like I said, I wanted my 80-84s. I also thought that was realistic, given what we had seen here on, if you go back to what day was this? It was like Friday, right? So I thought that 84 level was realistic for a flat bottom break. I was in the short, then Vikya Novak here in the chat was asking, what are my thoughts on Lily? I think that the 880 support that we have here, which you could see here, it was also resistance on Thursday, turned to support on Friday. I think that's a really good look if you're looking at this on the daily chart. However, I know I'm out of the short, but I still think this to me looks a little bit bear flaggish on the intraday. From an intraday perspective, I do see some bearishness on Lily. However, I will not be trading this unless and I don't think I'll trade this again. I can if I want to. If we bounce off that 894, which is also kind of in confluence with VWAP, I could consider a long, but A, I'm not sure we'll get that, and B, I'm not like chasing any waterfalls here. If it shows up, it'll show up. I'm proud of what I did with both these trades. Honestly, I'd rather try the trade I really like and take the hit than wonder what could have been, because that's not, no regrets, right? You do miss 100% of the trades you don't try to take. So that was what I kind of mentioned there to Vikya Novak. I think, shout out, you said you're in the longs, so shout out there. I do think on the daily chart, it's a nice look, that 880 level. I know Neil was talking about thereabouts that 880 on the daily for Lily, I believe, if you go back to like Friday, pull up this level. So I think it's like clearly that 880 is a nice look. I just think right now, I would like to see what we kind of do here if we can hold on to that 887 bottom. Oh, yeah, there's that 880 on Lily. Yes, that was some clear resistance support flip. Now I think we're holding it as support. That is my take on that. Indo, some people are mentioning, I think Sharif definitely is more of the small cap trader there. So Indo apparently at 421 here. So interesting look there. Honestly, not a lot else that I have a read on. I like the SPY here for some potential scalps as we hold this 534. I was watching the SPY book while I was in Lily. A, I like the SPY book. B, I think with Lily being an NY name, it's a good one to know. Vikya Novak saying, I'm still long re-Lily, now I'm biting my nails. I would say if we can get a decisive break above the 892, then into the 894, those would be my levels on Lily. So I think if you're above 894, not a bad look at all. But that, again, just one person's take on the chart and book. I have been watching it a decent amount, though, of course. But the SPY here, I like what we're doing here on the 5 minute. It's generally one I trade off of. I like this kind of, I don't want to say cup and handle, it's not a cup and handle, but we have this nice little curl here at this 534 onto VWAP. Let's see what we do here at 535, which was a level we kind of wicked into a couple times. Haven't really substantially closed above in many moons on the 5 minute chart. If we bounce off 534 again, there might be some scalp opportunities for my purposes, but I think this is a nice little curl here off of VWAP. Then I'd like to see if we can break above 535, what we would do from there. Someone was saying that, I think it was someone named Mike Walter in the chat, Mike Walters maybe in the chat, saying that if we get to 536 on the SPY, he would name his first child Neil Robert Walters. So I don't know. If we get to 536 on the SPY, there might be a namesake there. Neil says he's okay with it, but if there's any tickers that you have their names in your eyes, exclamation point, I don't know why they'd be in your eyes, exclamation point, join, space, $, whatever ticker that is. I see Sharif's looking at a ticker that I was also looking at, that Palantir. But I'm not trying to copy your style there. But Palantir I find kind of interesting. I saw it on your little chart there. And Palantir to me, kind of interesting here if we can push off 60s. But I don't have any real levels here at 60s. I like 30. I like 30.25. And I like if we get back into that 29.90, to me, that was the clear support resistance flip. Unless and until we get there, I am not going to be deeply interested in what Palantir does, because I won't have a clear sense of direction. Lots of people looking at Indo, though. I literally said I would save that analysis for you, because you are going to be, I don't really know how to trade these, so I'm sure you have some thoughts on Indo right now.
I kind of don't believe that, but I'm just going to go with it because you said it, and I don't want to contradict you.
I appreciate it. But I'll try to trade them sometimes, and I know you're very adept at these.
Yeah, let's see. 430. I like what Jay Lee was pointing out. He's like, look, man, is it time to short Indo yet? Shout out to you, Jay. 421. We're zigging and zagging, looking like a possible double top, and more bearish double top too. Why? Because we couldn't reach that original high a day. We had 2 5-minute candle double tops at 435. Then we have this area defend now, 430. So if we give way here, this could be an interesting area to get short. You get in maybe near 430s, 428, yada, yada, yada. And to me, basically, the trade would no longer be valid if we broke 435. Now, if it ended up making a higher right side of the top than the left side, which right now it's not, then, that's part of doing business. So you get bamboozled. So this is interesting. And I have shorts, thanks to Neil for this, right? So 435er right now, high a day, we're printing 423, still up 30%, well above the volume weighted average price. See, the thing is, Jay, though, I have a rule. I don't go long small cap gappers on a breakout strategy below VWAP, nor do I short them above VWAP. It's an affliction that I suffer from. And quite frankly, like that, you have to have some rules to set up your trade. So 430 looks fantastic as a possible double top. But if we don't break and hold below the volume weighted average price right now, it's at $4, I'm not going to get short. So I see exactly what you're seeing, and everything you're saying checks out, at least for the moment. Obviously, if we break above 435, I would re-examine that. But right now, I've got no trade on INDO as a result of the fact that it looks fantastic, but it's above VWAP. Now, when I wanted to short this was below VWAP. So we want to get into VWAP, use VWAP as a level of resistance, and then take the short from there. That didn't happen because we reclaimed VWAP as quickly as we gave it up. So that's the look there. Let's see what else is moving. All right, so Mag 7. Apple holding above the volume weighted average price, but very much at a bit of a consolidation range. It looks like it's at 218 1/3 to the top side and 217 4/5, 218 to the downside generally. 198 has been very interesting here on Tesla. I won't be convinced otherwise. This could end up being a flat top break, but we know for certain, essentially, from 9:35 this morning, 198 has been an obvious level of resistance. There is no 5-minute candle that closes above 198 today on Tesla. You have umpteen amount of topping tail breaches, all of which resulted in the candles closing below. So we're holding below 198 now, and here we come, 197.33 on TSLA. I mean, this could be a gnarly range, man. 198 to the top side. Daryl looked right over.
I like
195.
That 198 range.
Yeah, well, 198 has just been an obvious level of resistance for me. The other one that hasn't come in as much has been this 195. It comes in every now and again, but the 198 seems to be like on repeat for whatever reason now. If that's the case, are we accumulating for a 198 break? That's the ask here. Well, you don't really need to guess because we know that the local area top is 198 1/3. So you got to risk about 30 pennies here. If you break that and it ends up going down, that's the cost of doing business, right? So 198, interesting level here on the Cybertruck. We're zigging and zagging right now on the future, a little above 18.7, a little bit below. This is also a very interesting area of support as well. 18,675 for whatever reason at 3/4 of 100 point whatever, bouncing off that level for the last, how long have we been at this level? Almost an hour at this level there, but I'm going to send it to you real quick while I set up for the read.
Yeah, please do. I'm trying to get short Intel here. I know this is when I usually trade. It was on my side chart, and I was like, wow, it's just in a steady downtrend. I'll take that. I have a clear level that I could use as a stop, being that 950, which was a bit of a flat bottom break. But right now, we're going to flat bottom break over and thank our lovely sponsors at Benzinga.
Are you tired of being late to the Adara? Are you always playing catch up in the market? I know I am. Missing out on the big moves because you're too slow to the news. Well, Benzinga Pro is your unfair advantage. Get breaking news alerts up to 30 minutes before everyone else and pinpoint exactly why stocks are moving and join a thriving community of traders who share their strategies in real time. Are you ready to see how Benzinga Pro can transform your trading? If you are, visit benzinga.com/pro and get yourself that free 14-day trial. I know 14 days would be great for me, Adara. So quite frankly, I know I used a couple of those back in 2020. Nothing in Benzinga about that, but yeah. Anyway, 430 still in here, Jay. I'm liking this level on INDO. Jay, I think you might be right here. I'm going to have to break my rules and short this bad boy ahead of VWAP. No, I'm just joking. I'm not going to do that. What are you looking at?
Rules are meant to be bent. They're meant to be... No, I'm joking. Intel, okay, so again, to finish the Intel thesis, because I started it but did not finish it, I know I'm getting short here near low of days. I'm aware it's kind of a riskier move, but because of that clear kind of breakdown here at 1950, I think I can risk into that. Starting the position here at 1943s. If we get into 1945s, I'm willing to add, but I got the bulk in here at 1943. In terms of where profit taking shall occur, I would like to see us kind of continue to drip to the downside. I am aware we're bottom tailing a little bit, so I want to be cognizant of the fact that this could continue higher, but I like it as a short for now. We are in that downtrend. You know, the trend's your friend till the end when it bends. I'm not sure Intel is bent yet. I think right now the Intel in Intel it's pretty weak. And it got a price target decrease from Evercore ISI. You want to know how much they decreased this price target, Sharif? Because my eyes were rolling in the back of my head. 36 to 25.
That's too much, Adara.
I mean, is it though? Because Intel's currently below 20, Sharif.
No, I know.
Are you being sarcastic?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not.
Yes.
Anyways, Intel, certainly, I guess their Intel and Intel was continuing to the downside. But again, if you want to look at Intel or any other ticker, you can go in that chat. You can go exclamation point. You can go join. And you can go whatever ticker you want. Maybe it is the SPY. Maybe it's the IWM. Maybe you want to hear about Intel, which I know is one that I believe Neil traded today. Maybe you want to look at Meta, Amazon, any of these Mag 7 people. Maybe you want to look at Apple. Whatever you want to look at, get in that chat. Exclamation point. Join, space, $. Get in there, guys. Currently have the bulk of this Intel position. Unless I get out some of this, I am not going to add any more. I have a few more shares that I normally take because with a stock like Intel where it moves a little bit more slowly, I think you do, or like the moves are smaller, you might want to have a little bit more, weight into that trade. Q's kind of chopping here, SPY kind of chopping, just watching the futures with regards to my Intel. Basically flat on this. I will stay calm. I will breathe. Like I said, with some of these chart trades, with my scalps, I'm totally going to trust my read in the book, and I've said that, and that's why I mostly rely on the book for my SPY and Tesla trades in tandem with the chart. But for my chart trades like Intel, Lilly, I am going to largely respect what I see in the book, which is why I stayed in Lilly, because I had no reason to leave. I said, Adara, you said you were going to see what you did here, so wait to see what you do here at those levels. So that's sometimes I think honestly, one thing is staying with the plan is huge, and sometimes you can grade your trades based on whether or not you stayed with the plan. Proud to say I stuck with the plan for both my Lilly trades. Lilly now above VWAP. Shout out to you, Vicky on Novak. I knew you were long this name, so I'm sure you are pleased as punch. Like I said, I'll watch it around 894s, but not really looking to trade it unless there's something I'm obsessed with. Happy to just get back on the horse, clip, clop, keep riding this market right now to the downside, hopefully, for Intel, but we'll see what we do here. Also, Adrian asking what my view is on the market cycle we're in. I have to say right now, the market cycle seems to be kind of changing based on the day and sometimes maybe responding to my outfit choices. So a little bit harder to read. I would say there's certainly, I think as the election comes up and as Sharif says, it'll be interesting to see what the market does after the election because there seems to be a lot of in the markets as we get to the election, for lack of a better term. I think it's really interesting to see what we're doing here with regards to volatility, or volatility, if you will. And I think the fact that we have this volatility certainly says something. Intel below 1940s. Wow, if we get back to 40s and retest, I might add a little bit to this position. Let's get down Intel. But yeah, to answer your question, Adrian, I think it's something I want to learn more about. I was watching The Compound and Friends this weekend with Joe Fahmy and JC Peretz. It was a really great lineup. And they both had a lot of things to say with regards to volatility in the markets and just the way that it has been really volatile lately. So I think keeping volatility in mind, I think it's really worth noting that the markets kind of seem to be doing things depending on the day. I think getting this volatility as well in tandem with earnings is pretty fascinating. So it's something I want to do more reading about, but I will think it definitely seems to be a bit of an odd day-by-day type situation. Intel, do you really want me to add here? Intel, I kind of want to add. If we get back to 40s, I'm adding a scintilla of shares here because I do want to build up this position for a nice little quadunk to the downside if Intel will have me. It's going to be one of my larger positions since going live. But I like this move to the downside, and if I feel good about it, if I have that confidence, why not get involved? We're going to do that lesson again soon. No 1 p.m. auction today, guys, just so you know. We do have the federal budget balance coming through at 2 p.m., but that will be once we're over to the big kahunas at 2. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there.
I always take it out. I always take out the full position. I was paper hit. I fat fingered there. Yeah, I got long right at the bottom wick on Apple. I got stopped out initially, so took a bit of a hit there. Now negative on Apple. I tried to take 217.20 and I took out the full position. It's not what I wanted to do. I got profitable on it, but definitely still negatory on this name. The reason I got long at the fifth of a dollar was obviously this area over here. We hold the area 4 now. It's that 217.20 area. So that was a previous area low that we got into at 11.30. And then it looks like we're holding that exact area now, about 25 pennies, 30 pennies now above it. So very disappointed in myself that I fat fingered here. Right idea, poor execution. So that's my problem. Now, INDO really going here, guys. But Neil was smart enough to point this out to me, that we have a high of day from a few days ago right at that 4.5. So shout out to Willis Addison, who's printing up a storm. But this level over here from the 7th topped out exactly at $4.48. Technically now $4.56. So we are above that level. But we've got multiple levels above this 456 high a day that we have that aren't too far away. These are back from April. It's not like they're historical, they're from the year. And so we got 5. Obviously, we're going to contend with that level anyway because it's a whole dollar level. Then we got 485. That's a topping tail. It's not a closing print. Then we got these bad boys over here at 5.5. So multiple levels of resistance right now on INDO. But you could have made that case about the top there at the 7th, and it continued to go up. So I'm very happy. Did not get short this name at 430. Stuck to my rule about not liking or not shorting these small cap gappers above the volume weighted average price. That's kind of the reason why, because of the strength that can come in like that. So, yeah, the rules don't exist, but they are meant to be broken, as Adara mentioned. So, well, now what I want to see though is this 430 area. Now that I know I'm not going to short this below the volume weighted average price, what would just be super peachy and super good if it came back in and tested $4.30 as a level of support? Because it was definitely resistance earlier. We know that. We had interactions with it over here. We interacted with it over here, all of which rejected until this big boy candle came in at 7 to the hour and then broke that previous high and continued to make new highs on the day. So keeping an eye there. The market is absolutely tanking. And now, well, yeah, I should probably preface that because people get so upset when I say that and it's not actually tanking. We dropped 100 points, okay? Generally about 100 points. We were at that 1817s, right? 17, 16, 15, something like that. We dropped down right there into 18616. 18616 is the closing print from Friday. We're below that now. Here comes 186 again. So we're moving ziggy-zaggy over here. Kind of a possible double top with a left shoulder a bit bigger than the right. We'll have to see if we hold up at 18.6 to make a higher low. If that's the case, then that'll be 2 successive higher lows. But that's all prefaced upon us not breaking 18.5 3/4. Right now, doing the dance with no pants with 18.6, trying to stay above it right now. So lots of weakness coming in here midday on the future after, starting weak, then going green, then starting weak, then going red again. You can see that here, zigzagging on a lot of these names. So I guess the trade that I missed was obviously that 198 trade on TSLA. So we'll see if we can get something back there. Also, NVIDIA has been the strongest name on the day, up 4 1/4. It's also back at VWAP now at that 109. 109 has been a hell of an area today on NVDA. So, oh, we got the Katina clan.
Nice. Hi.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. I like the purple hair.
It's so cute.
Your shirt is London, the London shirt.
I love it. It's
Just
very
went for some
nice.
sushi.
Your dad talks about you a lot. He says how great of a sports
Lots of hockey,
athlete you
yeah.
are. Soccer, or so not soccer, but hockey and softball, right?
We have baseball tonight,
my
and
bad.
she has 2 hockey games tomorrow.
Ooh,
Good
in the
luck.
summer too. That's committed.
We're back from
Job.
so- All right.
Thanks for coming on,
Nice
Katina,
to see
man.
you. Hello, Katinas. Goodbye,
Yes,
Katinas.
there we go, the Katinas. Marissa Katina here as well. There we go, Sean's wife. Everybody in the house. Everybody in the house. Shout out to them. Adorable, obviously, goes without saying. All right, we're getting a 217 bounce here on Apple, and we're getting an 18.6 hold right now on the future, at least for now, Adara. Bottoming tail candle. All sorts of midday volatility. Nice trading.
Thank you very much. I took a quick 35 penny scalp on the SPY. The SPY came, you guys know how I felt about that weirdly specific level in the book, 5 32.70s on the SPY. We broke below that. I got short right below it. Took 30 pennies on that. Please just punch. Happy with how it went. Still in Intel. Already took profit out of about, let's math this very fast. It's a very weirdly specific level. We got about something like 20% of the Intel position out there. So pleased. Actually, sorry, it was 30. Took 30% of Intel out. Ready to take out another portion of this remaining position if we get back into 31s here. I say back out, even if we got into 31s. As long as we stay below 40s, I'm cool staying in my Intel. If we break above 40s, I will probably have to get out here. But I'm really happy I tried Intel. It's not a name I normally try trading, and I knew I'd have to trade it slightly differently. Oh, hello. By taking slightly smaller shares or slightly more shares, because you kind of want more shares with this type of move on this type of stock. And that also reminds me too, I remember when I first tried trading these, when I first went live, I never really traded like Intels or Rivians or Maras, but I thought, oh, I have to trade cheaper stocks when I'm live. And I take them with tiny positions, so you'd have a winning position and you make like, very little. And that's what I realized too. Shout out to the conversation I was having with Neil and Ryan Faluna on the market recap last week. You have to trade how you're trading in the sim. In the sim, I traded a lot of Lilies, a lot of mega caps. So those are the names I'm more comfortable trading live. And I, again, want to shout out Sharif as well for helping me realize that too. Also, look at good times. Shout out to Sean and his family there. But yeah, no, and I think one thing too that I think, anyways, the point I'm trying to make is you could adapt once you're in the live, once you're changing things, but it's really important to first start trading when you're live, let's say you're adjusting from sim to live. Start with stuff that you're comfortable trading and then expand. I would not have been comfortable taking this many shares on Intel. It's not even that many shares on Intel, but I would not have been comfortable taking it when I first went live. Now I'm more comfortable with it because I've taken my time to experiment to the live, dip my little toes in, and get involved. So still in Intel, happy with my SPY scalp. I want to talk about as well here SMCI. Shout out to Darius Golden, who called it SMCI breakdown. I said, hey, I'm not really sure. We were bouncing off support here off of, that 544 area here on VWAP, and then it ends up breaking below that area. So shout out to you, Darius Golden. And it's interesting too, sometimes chart patterns will break rules. You generally do not have flat bottom breaks here on when you're up on the day, right? That's generally not some of the rules you'll get. So it's interesting. Look, yes, smooth 1J. I do scalp the SPY, and I've done well in my SPY scalps today. So if there's stuff that pops up, I'm going to be scalping the SPY. You know what I mean? That's kind of how it's got to go. So I appreciate that. Yeah, I just wanted to address that. I do scalp the SPY, and I find that is the way I have the most success trading the SPY. If I have levels on it, so a lot of them are going to be book scalps as well. I don't want to scalp based on the trade. But before we get to the lesson, as I watch Intel chip top to the downside, I would love to hear about what just had you pump your fist over there.
A couple of things. So I did a good trade on NVIDIA, but I fat fingered again. So that's 2 for 2 on the fat fingers. Yay! Fat fingers.
I like
today.
that you're clapping with your fingers.
Yeah. Sorry, Reb. So I fat fingered on this one, but I did take profit. Now this one I'm proud of because this was an area defense. So I said to myself, guys, 430 was an obvious area here. I took it with bigger size on this one. So 430 was an obvious area top on INDO. Shout out to Willis Addison, who's printing up a storm. Shout out to everybody else who's printing up a storm on this dang small cap capper today because it's given me some great trades. I'm 3 for 3 on it so far. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I shouldn't have said that in there because it's going to stop me out now. No, it's not your fault. It's my fault. Anyway, I'm going to look to wet my beak at around the $0.50 if we can get back into that $0.50 over here. But this one, I saw $4.30. Initial area crest. We reject. We come back down. We test 430 again. Yeah, reject. We test it again, just for good measure and just for good luck at 1245. Yeah, we rejected. Then the pain came for the shorts over here at 1253, and that's what caused me to say this is an obvious area resist or support now that we've used it as that resistance level over and over and over again. So I wet my beak there on larger size. Now I'm going to look for that $0.50 move if we can have a $0.50 move. Fantastic.
And he just yelled ram. I want the world to hear that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Absolutely. Trader CL, never seen a more beautiful chart than WBA. Looks like. Hey, Randy. Get it, Randy. What are you thinking about? You're thinking about the Cybertruck, aren't you? There he is. Say hi, Marissa.
Me too.
Shout out to Ms. Katina, obviously. I love having the family here, and I saw all their pictures out in London. They were having a great time. Shout out to the Katina man. doing the absolute most in a fantastic way. Take care. See you guys. So yeah, still involved in this Indo trade. And I'm looking for a $0.5 beak wetter. Maybe I should move that down because we're likely to encounter some resistance at the $0.5. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'll move it down. Maybe I won't. Shout out to Jay Lee. Jay Lee short on Indo at 442. Not you, Jay. You're forcing my profits down, my man. Oh, come on, Jay.
Guys, you're in a war.
Here we go. Here comes the $0.5, Darren. There it is, baby. We're going to hit the bang for Indo. No, I'm not talking about that kind of Indo. 420 Bud Monster. We know what you're thinking. Shout out to you. Obviously, it's okay. Everything is good on this side of the border. You know, you're good there, right? Plenty of those stores around here, my man. Too many. Neil's like, what? What's going on? All right. Yeah, hit it, Neil. Hey, shout out to my man. Black smoke. That looks like very bad for your lungs, that black smoke that blows out though. No, it doesn't look good. It looks like a diesel truck. Yeah. Jay Lee, get Randy to auto sector, please. Lots happening on that front, my man. I can't tell you how much I would love a segment like that. I go in there at least once a day into the back end of the office where real trading is, and I talk up a storm with Randy. Today I was talking to him about the cancellation of the rear wheel drive Cybertruck. You know, he has all sorts of theories as to why that may be the case. We were talking off camera about how many like F-150 real wheel drives, how many real wheel drives do they sell percentage wise? Ram, your truck is 4-wheel drive, obviously, right? Of course, we live in Toronto. We couldn't have a rear-wheel drive here. You can, but you're not going to have a great winter. In any event, so we're talking about the percentage of trucks that are sold rear-wheel drive, and we didn't have the actual numbers, but we posited something like 5, 10, 15% at the most. So definitely not a big seller there. Usually you're looking for that all-wheel drive love. At least I am anyway. Jay Lee, it's only fake shorts for me on Indo, not available on my short broker. Neither is it on mine, my man. But guess who it is available on? The best dang prop firm around. It's Real Trading, and we're sponsored by the Madeira.
We're sponsored by them. Shout out to Real Trading. Like I said, Real Trading was allowed me to get really cheap shorts every day that Lucy ran, and I don't think I ever used them once, and I did not get buyer's remorse because they were so cheap. Every day I was like, I'm going to short Lucy, and I don't think I ever traded Lucy. But the point is that penny stock, could get shorts for a penny stock there. Shout out to our friends at Real Trading. You take out some of the intel there at 1934. I know I said I was going to wait for 33s, but it was just so wiffle-waffle. I said to Dara, get these 34s. I'm going to take up the next piece if we get to 30s. Looking to add at 38s. Don't know if we'll get that. If we get above 40s, I'm outie of this INTC. I had to move the stop loss down as it moves down here. I think it was Edwin my Fike was asking here, how many shares of Intel you're trading? We don't share share sizes. We don't share our position sizes. But I will say it is, it's more than I normally trade, but I'm comfortable with it because this is, I set up the ads accordingly and I'm kind of built into it. So that's what I'll say with regards to that. I will say it made me a little bit shaken in my boots a bit, but I was like, you know what, Adair, if you feel good about it, get involved. Let's get down Intel. Get down. Have the confidence. Shout out again to Sean and his lovely family saying hello. The Katina, move aside, Roaring Kitty. Now we got that Katinas.
Roaring Katina.
So good look there, Roaring Katinas. Which actually Sean made that joke first and no one knew what he was saying because he just said, I am a cat in the market recap chat. And I was like, what are you talking about? Oh, he said, I'm cat. You're right. That's what Mean was right. So he said, I cat. And we had to be
cat?
He said, I cat. And we were like, what does that mean?
Oh, like and subscribe today.
Oh, cat.
Miss her.
Shout out to cat.
You couldn't just say cat.
No, you're right. Shout out to Saad Mahmood as well. You're saying zoom out on that INTC. You might find levels to cover. Definitely keeping an eye on that. That is for sure. I appreciate that. And I'm going to definitely look again at my covers and my ads once we finish our lesson of the day. Also, shout out as well to Joanna Brewster saying shout out to us. Get it, guys. With the hand emoji. You get it as well. High five to you. Air high five to my pal Sharif. And let's get going here on this lesson of this here day. So let's talk about trading earnings after hours. I want to appreciate Sharif being really open there about his experience trading these earnings because I think that's huge. I know Sean's talked about it a little bit as well, how like sometimes people will try to trade these after hours earnings because Neil and I, and Sean and I, when we're on the market recap, we see these moves. They're so tempting. They're so tantalizing. And a lot of times they go by a name fake out breakout or fake out breakdown or they move around or they're Capital's a bamboozlement nation. You know what I mean? It's just stuff like that. So let's talk about some of the importance of this after hours trading and how you have to consider that when you're factoring in considering trading these earnings. Well, increased volatility is huge here, right? Earnings announcements can often and do often trigger sharp price fluctuations, which can lead to larger profit opportunities compared to regular trading hours. And so with that increased volatility, it's risky, but it does give you some opportunities for larger price moves because you have less participants, right? So you've got less people involved. So some of these moves are going to be a bit higher, a little bit more heavily weighted. And so this can create the chance for big, huge wins, but also big, huge losses. Now, first mover advantage is also something you have to consider and think about with regards to this after hours trading, because traders who can react quickly to earnings news can potentially capitalize on price trends before they become widely known and before the rest of the market seeing them and reacting to them, right? So that's huge. That's something to keep in mind. But let's talk about some of these risks of after hour trading. One of them, of course, is going to be lower liquidity. Reduced trading volume can result in the wider bid-ask spreads and difficulty executing orders at desired prices. We've talked a lot about spread trading. You know, we'll talk about spreada on Meta. That's during the day, too. Like, imagine how some of these names trade after hours. Eli Lilly as well. We talked about pre-market day one earnings for Lilly. I was talking to Obi and Neil. That one had a $4 spread. So you do have some of these larger spreads in the after hours, either before or after the market opens. Let's talk about some of the other risks here, like market manipulation. You do have some higher chances there are potential for market manipulation because you have lower trading volume, right? So false rumors or misleading info. Let's say, you know, we think you have the earnings out or we don't, or there's like speculation about when these earnings are coming out, what they're going to be. That can really change the market, that is for sure, and change what this price action is going to be. So manipulation is certainly a potential here. Also, increased volatility is worth noting. As we said, it's one of the benefits here and what makes it important, but it's also what makes after hours trading risky. So it does offer opportunities, of course, when you have this volatility, but it also increases the risk of rapid and unpredictable price swings. Let's talk about some strategies for after hours trading. Scalping. Hello. You know, lots of scalpers here on this show and just as traders in general. Scalping is what happens when you take advantage of these rapid price fluctuations by entering and exiting trades quickly. And this strategy will involve precise market timing and a higher tolerance for risk. Equity straddle is one strategy as well. It's one equity strategy, I guess, if you're going to be trading options or I guess equities here. So straddles is a bit of an option strategy, but you can use it here for equities, and it involves placing a buy order slightly above the current market price and a sell order slightly below. And this strategy will aim to profit from large price movements in either direction following the earnings release. Some of the pros of the equity straddle is that it can give you a potential for high returns if the stock price moves significantly in either direction. So if you've got some big swings, you're going to benefit either way. So I think that's huge. But also worth noting here too, cons is that it requires larger initial capital outlay because you've got to buy on either side, right? So if the stock price remains relatively unchanged, the trader can lose on both sides of the trade. So you really need to look at those implied moves after the earnings to see if this is actually going to be worth it. Are you going to have a big old like Mara size post-earnings swing, or is it going to be a little bit of a, you know, teeny tiny meat and potatoes type thing? Let's talk about order types as well. So limit orders specify the price at which you want to buy or sell. And these are generally going to be the most common order type after hours because market orders do not work after hours. Stop orders also are worth noting because they'll only work after hours if it's a limit stop order, because market stops, much like all market orders, are not going to work. Let's talk about some tips for after hours, bless you, trading. So technology is huge. You want to make sure that you have a brokerage which allows trading outside regular market hours. You have the opportunity to take those trades. Risk management is huge as well. Make sure you're implementing really strict stop loss orders and position sizing to protect your capital. And make sure you've done some research on the market as well and on the earnings play. Does this name normally move a lot? What's the type of expected move you're getting with this name? Yep. Have we seen also, how is that sector reported? How have we seen names in that sector report? Are there any specific metrics you're looking for?
Bang.
See what analysts are looking for that metric. For example, we know Amazon and Microsoft both reacted a little herky-jerky on their cloud earnings. Okay. So let's say you've got a name that's going to be reporting in the cloud space. Be like, what are analysts expecting? Because that can help you decide what type of play you want to make if you think they're going to beat or miss on cloud based on what the analysts are saying. Also, emotional control is huge. It's a huge part of trading in general, but you really want to make sure that you have control over your emotions during the very volatile time known as earnings, because price action after hours can be a little wild. So you want to make sure to avoid impulsive decisions based on fear or greed and stick only to the plan with which you are trading. That is our lesson. Also, shout out to Saad Mahmood mentioning that 1930 level on Intel. I agree this is a level as well. I'm definitely going to zoom out, do some covering here. I don't think I'm going to add right now. We're still below 33s. We're still kind of chopping to the downside. I don't want to sell into this too early until I have a reason to. But, you know, as Brian Shannon says, sell when you want to, not when you have to. Ooh. So I don't want to be, you know, getting forced out of this position like 10 cents in the money. Let's see. I want to look at this daily chart, look at that 1930 level. But before I pass back to Sharif and get some more intel on Intel for myself, I want to shout out NVIDIA here. Paula asking about NVIDIA, not the chip that I'm currently playing, but wow, NVIDIA pushing into to 110s. This is a great look. Also, Paula, the next CPI is going to be on Wednesday at 8:30 a.m. EST. Also, because someone was mentioning in the comments for the thing I do in the weekend, the week ahead, I said that all the times are going to be in EST, guys. Sorry, I didn't specify, but all the times are always going to be in Eastern time. Also, yeah, I like the support here at VWAP, and look how well we held that support, that we wick into it. I think this 108.80 area is really nice support. I like that we made a higher low while still wicking into that area. I think if we could bounce off the 90 MA here, hold that 110, then push above and hold in that 110.30s, I think we're building into some nice little areas here. Good look for NVIDIA. The SPY trying to push higher here as well. Happy with that scalp I had because I don't think we got much lower after that scalp, but really going to focus on my Intel right now. There's a super chat addressed to you from Kyle Burdett.
Big Spile Burdett, what's up, my man? $10 super chat. Shout out to Big Spile. Sharif, SPY plan from this morning has changed. ... SPY puts getting loaded against a retest of VWAP based on series. If lower highs on 30-minute chart, we'll still be watching 530 on a down move. Shout out to Big Spile Burdett, absolutely killing it with him. Keep your eye out on his levels. He's always talking about that in the chat. So we're going to shout him out. And we want to see him print, obviously, on that. Big Spile had one hell of a week last week. That's all I'm going to say there. Proud of you, dude. Keep it up. The mine's just fine. He knows what I'm talking about. All right. Here's the look. I was able to wet my beak on some profits on Apple over here as we range between this 217.20 and 217.50. I'm like break even on the remaining amount now. I'm looking to wet my beak at around 75s. I'd like to see an area break. I want to see the $0.50 break because that's been quite elusive. The market's on the way up. It just breached VWAP. We just took out the 50-point level and Apple's dead weight here. So that's interesting. We're looking at now price action divergence on Apple in the futures, whereas we were talking about how similar their charts looked, at least intraday, as soon as this morning. So keeping an eye on that. We're very much locked in a tight consolidation. The reason I have my beak wetter at around 75 pennies, well, there's obviously a consolidation area here at 217.80. You can see that from the earlier price action when we were going into 217.80. Rejected it. And then once we cleared it, we came back and we defended 217.80 at least initially. And then we gave way on this big boy Hwadunk at 3 to the hour over here. So now we're holding up above there. The futures on the way back into 75 pennies. Apple's at the $0.50. I'm looking for something around $0.75. It just breached the $0.50. Here we go. Can we see some $0.0025? We're seeing $0.0025 Adara, and there it goes into 70. Please, this punch took it out there. What a move up here on the dead one, Apple. That was a good long consolidation range. I said, look, man, this is going to be your out for the break of 217.20. 217.20 hadn't been breached for the exception of this super quick print 1 minute candle over here at 1 o'clock, and then again at 1:01. And then there was no breaches of that $0.50 around 217.20. So I said, get long in there, man. That's your out right there. And there we go. We weasel our way up into that $0.0025. Please, this dang punch on this trade. Let's flip back to look at what TSLA is doing. Pardon me?
I just said I'm pleased this punch.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Adara. I'm looking at Tesla here. Here we go again, guys. 198 could be coming in on the Cybertruck awfully soon. And we've seen exactly what's happened every time we've weaseled in to that 198 area. Every time we're getting a little bit lower, right? So, you know, we've been zigging and zagging with the 198. last time around, did we even breach 198 around quarter to one? 197.98, 197.99. Okay, so I mean, if you need more proof that 198 is an actual level today on Tesla, I mean, come on, people. I mean, we couldn't print anything above it on a closing basis since 9:35 this morning. Now, the other side of that coin, we always want to give you both sides of the coin, Adara, because, well, that's just the nature of life, I guess. The higher lows could be indicative of here. I mean, I'm not saying we're going to get a flat top break through 198, but you need to be aware that last time around we didn't get as deep. So it was we were talking about a double bottom. We didn't manifest through the top break, so we're very much stuck within a range of sorts here with this little trough coming into that 196 and a quarter, 196 and a fifth right now. So good look there. Keep your eye on Apple, though, as it works its way back into the volume-weighted average price. This could be a short here at 218.75, but I'd be more inclined to base a short on Apple at around 218 rather than 217.75, only because the price action really shows more respect for 218 as opposed to the volume-weighted average price. So I'm very interested in taking Apple whichever way it goes, long, short, sideways, whatever the hell I can do here on this day. It's been very much a ziggy-zaggy day for the Mag 7. The NVIDIA has really been the only beast that's been able to consistently stay above the volume-weighted average price. Every other one's been a little bit above it, a little bit below it, Softy included, even though it's up 1/3%. Let's flip back now to some of the small cap gappers and see what they're up to. Yeah, well, you know, they're very looking like they're not tradable at the moment, to be quite frank with you. INDO is really the only one that's on my chart that's a respectable chart pattern here. Everything else is either consolidative or below a key technical indicator, which prevents me from trading it. So INDO 37 right now and 4/5 going on 48. Oh, baby. Tesla's working into 198. Indo zigging and zagging here below the $0.50. There could be some possible trades to have at the moment. Let's see what else everybody's talking about here. Anything that you guys want me to look at? I'm just trying to see some tags. Big Spile Burdette goes, thanks, bro. I had a nice Tesla long trade this morning off 195.
Long.
You took a long Big Spile?
Took it off a great level.
Woo! We're going to hit the bang for Big Spile there. Took a quick win to get the week started. Set you some garden content for the crew. Have a great day. If you don't mind, Big Spile, I'm going to open it up. And if that's okay with you, of course, let me know if I can put it on the show. If not, all good there, obviously. We're going to respect the privacy there. Keeping an eye, looking for some more comments possibly over here, but yeah, not that I see anything. What are you looking at over there?
I'm just doing like weird hand things here with this IWM. The support IWM, okay, as I say that it breaks down. Thanks, bro. I got to get out there. All good. IWM at 204.60s, the way we held that support was just illustrious. It was beautiful. It was gorgeous. And I like this level as well because look at this support resistance flippity flop that we had here. I said we can hold that level, take it long here, and risk it into 204.60s. I got long 204.75s. Would have rather got involved right at 204.60s, but then again, I don't really know where I would have risked had I done that. So got to do what you got to do. If we bounce again here, kind of off that 50-60s level, I might try it again. But basically, we held 204.60 support just beautifully. We keep bouncing. We keep looking at it. We keep bouncing. I said, Adara, if you can't break it back above 204.70s, don't add into this. Took like a 15-penny hit on this EOM. Happy I tried it, though, I will say. And you know what? It's interesting, too, because I like I said, I've been definitely using the P&L list. I think it helps you make better trades because I know I had, you know, some solid trades earlier in Apple and SPY, and then I took those hits on Lily, but I would have rather taken the trades on Lily than not taken them. So I think that's the biggest thing, and I think that's the importance of not trading on P&L. If you have a trade that you love, that you know the risk to reward makes sense on, why wouldn't you attempt that? So that's what I have to say on that. That's also why I'm happy I tried that IWM. Intel also, shout out to Saad Mahmood. You definitely were right about that 1930 resistance there. I was trying to get out parts at 1930 during the lesson, but we got to 1930 only on the bid side, never on the ask side. Sad face for me. All good there. Intel, though, weirdly, for a second I was like, oh, do you want to push higher, Intel? And Intel's like, I mean, Adara, do I, though? Because I'm already back to 1930s. I arguably could have stayed in the short because I said I would have gotten out if it got above 40s. We never did. That being said, happy I got out where we did. I saw areas of support resistance that were forming in the book, got out at 34s. Pleased as dang punch. SPY coming back into my levels too. I've had a couple levels I liked in the SPY, namely that 532.70s. As you can see, maybe I played around this level a little bit, perhaps. No, I'm joking. Took a lot of trades around that 532.70 level on the SPY. But also, I like what we're doing here at this 533.20s. That was an area I clearly found with some interesting support resistance because I got out of some of these longs here as well. If we break below that 20s, I'd be interested in shorting this into 70s. But I do think we could be in a potential uptrend here in the SPY. Higher lows here, SPY lows that I'm seeing here. Those
are some sick entries.
Thank you. I was really proud of my little short scalpies over here. Thanks, I appreciate it.
Yeah, those are excellent. Like, and you have top and bottom, mind. Like, no, the middle one. Yeah, that one. Look, like you literally traded at the top and you traded at the bottom.
Thank you very much.
Sound wave trade.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Sheree, for and I think that's the thing too. That's why I love looking at the book, because I would not have seen that 535.40 trade if I hadn't been looking at the book. I took that because the book was doing some weird shizness at 535.40. So I was like, this short makes sense to me. If we break below that level, it is going to fall. It did end up falling. Clearly, I got out a little bit early, but you know, you never know when the market's going to have a big quadroon. You got to trade it accordingly. That's, I think, one thing's really important. Just make attempts, try new things, and get it popping. Also, if there's anything you want to get popping, you only have 22 more minutes, the length of a old sitcom if you're like talking about the 90s. 22 minutes left to get into that chat. Exclamation point, join, space, $, whatever tickers are fancy. Yeah, one jacked up chart there. Yeah, it says Boxzilla. Yeah, I mean, the SPY has certainly been a little bit of an interesting look. We do have these lower highs a little bit as well when I look at this in the 10-minute with a bit of a potential flat bottom break. Like I said, 532.70s, every time I see anything getting in near that in the book, I get involved. Shout out to Trader Leah saying, I love the 5-minute for scalping. It's great for being close to the action while also reducing market noise that can make us panic.
Ooh.
I agree with you, Trader Leah. I will say as well, when I scalp Tesla and only for Tesla, I find I miss a lot of action if I don't also look at the 1 minute. So Tesla, I'll usually go a bit of 1 minute and a bit of 5 minute for my scalping, while also relying on the book because all of my scalps will also have some book action. So that is my take on that look. Let's see what we do here at the SPY as we get kind of a little bit waffly here, not really having reads on a lot of things here. Intel, if you break above 40s, I might consider longing you, but man, would it take a lot of consideration. AMD near VWAP. If I were to take a short here, I think AMD might be my #1 contender. A couple things coming into levels I like, Sharif.
All right. I just want to use this opportunity to say that I have not taken one trade today off a moving average. And yeah, and you guys know how I trade. I look for trending names and I look for pullbacks off a key moving average. It ain't rocket science, nor is it supposed to be. And the reason I want to point that out is to make the case to you guys that not every day is going to be the same day that you can come in and you can use the same utensils, same skills, same strategy, and expect the market to react in the same way. Today's been more about price action and reading whether something is making higher highs or higher lows. Like, to me, I don't think I've gone this long on a day trading the MAX7 without ever using a moving average, whether the 10 or the 20 or even VWAP. I mean, I haven't even used VWAP today. Let's look what's going on over there, Katina, man. Fantasy football. Yes, it gets very emotional about that. Yeah, I mean, I can feel I'm right there. So I just want to make that point because oftentimes I'll use these moving averages. So today is not one of those days, and I just kind of really want to wax poetic there to use an Adair term. Now, here we go with Tesla again. Coming into 198, I'm going to be really intent to see what it does at this level. I don't need to be first, as you've seen every time. Every time it's come into 198, it's presented you with trades. Whether you got initially here at 198 1/4 and wet your beak at 197 3/4, or whether you got into 198 1/3 here and printed all the way down to 194 3/4. And you may not get that kind of range second time around, but I am willing to take my chances with said 1.9 or 8 level if it does present me the opportunity. And, you know, my stop is going to have to be not governed, but it has to reflect the day's price action. So if I'm going to get in 198, I need to have at least 33 pennies worth of a buffer between my stop and my entry. And the reason is because I need to put it above these two candles over here. Now, if you end up breaching that and it still tanks, well, you did what you could. But it's incumbent upon you to try to cover your bases where you can. And this 198 1/3, it looks awfully standoutish to me. So if we do get into 198, my stop placement will be influenced by that, and I will have it above $1/3. But alas, we're still not into Tesla at 198. In fact, we are making lower highs. So if we don't weasel our way into 198, it'll be higher lows, but also lower highs. So that could be also important here as well. I keep looking at NVIDIA to take it long, and it never comes into my level. And I just finished waxing poetic, to use a dare term again, about not using these indicators today. But there was one that I was actually going to use, and it was the VWAP dip on an NVIDIA. I came back from the bathroom, and it was quite gone. So, yeah, there. I was wrong about not using any indicators today. But, you know, point's taken here. I hope the point is taken by you guys that you can't come in every day and kind of trade the same way and expect the same results, because the market's not the same. So that's my look for that. But I want to remind you guys that the afternoon segment means nothing without viewer input. If we don't have a top 5 to show the big kahunas, then there is no afternoon rundown. So please do us a favor, get into the chat right now and vote for your favorite ticker. It's super easy. It's exclamation point, the word join, then hit that space bar, $, and the ticker of your choice. In fact, I'm going to go in right now, Adara, and I'm going to vote for my favorite ticker of the day. Can you guess which one that's going to be?
Indo.
Oh, she read my
right?
mind, and there it is. INDO, voted for. I've had my say. Will you have your say? Bully your friends. Bullying's fine in the chat. As long as it's to get in the afternoon rundown. Adara's not fine with that. I caveated that. I caveated that.
I love that we both use the word caveat there, because I was gonna, like, I need a pretty strong caveat there.
There you go, right? I had to, because I knew you were going to get up all up on that. So,
I was like,
yeah, look, get into the chat right now. Have your say every day. Sean is back. We were very happy to have the Obe, the one. He is the Kenobe, but today the Katina man is back, and he's ready to punch long on, or short, on everything he just said. So shout out to him. He's having a great time. The Katina man is short Shopify right now at 6.9er. So make sure, if you're not following on the other channel, we have another channel, by the way. It's called More Trader TV Live, and you can see Neil's position, you can see Sean's position, and you can see the entries and their exits, as well as the biggest movers and the top headlines in the day. I like to run it simultaneously with the current stream, Adara. I hope that everybody has enough bandwidth to do that.
yeah, so it lets you see a little bit of zig, a little bit of zag, a little bit of what we're doing, a little bit of what they're doing. Also, IWM, if at first you don't succeed within reason and within manageable risk, try again. And I want to make that clarification as well, because I know this was something that Neil and Obi were talking about last week as well, that we were all three of us, I think, were talking about at some point a couple weeks ago. And I think one thing as well, sometimes you're the first time you try the trade, it's not going to work for whatever reason. It could be your timing is incorrect, your position size is incorrect, you don't risk it well enough, but then the opportunity presents itself again. What do? Do you back away like a scared deer? Perhaps. But if it gives you the opportunity to do so, maybe what you should do is get involved with that vim, that vigor, that aggression, that confidence, and get right back in. So I got back in IWM here with more size, and I'm actually going to add in here. We bounce off 86s, which it looks like we are, because that was a huge level of resistance. That's what got me out of that initial trade there in my IWM, because we weren't able to get above that 86 level. It was very anemic. So I'm going to take out the first third of my new position here. If we get to 99s, let's see what's happening here in IWM. Let's see if we can get the hustle in that Russell. As TI says, grind don't stop, hustle don't quit, and neither do traders. I guess Russell don't quit is what I should have said there. And the thing too, with sometimes you're not going to get that first area, but if you're still seeing things hold up, for me, I was still seeing that push higher in the IWM. So sure, I wasn't able to get the first trade there. I did take a hit on the first trade, but I liked it still. So I took even more size for my second trade. Now I'm comfortable adding in because I know what levels. And sometimes when like I said that as well with my Lily trade on day one earnings last week, the first trade didn't work out. I lost on it, but I was able to be more confident in my second trade because I saw stuff I like. I knew what was happening there in the book. I'm going to be risking into 75s on this IWM, which was my initial entry point. I know the average now is 81 because I added to 86s, but my initial entry point here for IWM was 75, and that was a level I find we were holding up decently. So if we break below 75s, I am outie in IWM. I'm willing to lose a few pennies there on the average position, but I like this hustle there in this Russell. I know I said another name I was looking at right now around the same time I entered EWM was going to be AMD, and then AMD was like, oh, but like you don't have to look at me. I'm not doing much. I'm like, AMD, you could though. It'd be really easy for you to do something. By that, I mean, AMD, I like that view up. I was like, if we break below view up on AMD, this could be kind of spicy. Instead, we're just kind of chipping and chopping here around view up on AMD, higher highs, higher lows, a little bit of a pattern there. So we'll have to wait and see what goes on here. NVIDIA, some people asking about here as well. I think, honestly, to shout out as well what you said about NVIDIA's VWAP bounce, I think it's so clear. I totally get why you would do.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is the chart using moving average for.
Yeah.
So great look there. I want to shout you out on that call. Right now, I'm just waiting for my IWM to maybe tick a little bit higher, couple pennies away from my point of getting out a third of that position. How are you doing?
I'm short Tesla at this level. It's out of the money okay, stand corrected. Oh, well, now we're zigging and zagging here. I'm short 69s. We're showing 65s. I'd like to add to this position. Possibly we'll see if that presents me with the opportunity to add. But the whole point of why I got into this trade, and we just wet our beak now on this trade, is 198 has been a level. I've made that my opinion very clear on that. Whether or not it holds at this area or not is an entirely different story. If it continues to head down without letting me add more, then that's the situation as well. Personally, I'd like to see something. Here we go. Let's see something around 40s. If I can work my way down into the 40s, there is a bit of a support level right there. And here comes the low 50s. And we'll see if we do get a bounce at the 50s. I kind of expected that, the $0.50. You might have a bunch of orders. Let's see if we can print something in the 40s. And there it is. Print mid 40s, baby. We got 43s there. Pleased as dang punch. Let's take that short again if it comes into 198. I missed it like 10 times already. And now finally on maybe the 11th time I take it. So great, Sharif. Great trading today. Can you tell I'm being sarcastic? Because it's just, they're yelling at myself because it's so obvious of a dang level, and it took me forever to get into it. 198 has been rinse and repeat all dang day on Tesla. It just really has been. Now, you could get a flat top break because we keep putting in higher lows. Sure, you're still negative. There's that 200 level, yada, yada, yada. You got to get through 198 before we even start talking about 200. But decent trade right now on said Cybertruck. Happy with it, ready to look for the next one. Now, what's the next one going to be? I'm very interested, as Adair kind of alluded to before. She threw to me with NVIDIA at 110. There isn't a whole lot today other than Apple and NVIDIA that have been really looking to take long on the Mag 7. That's just my personal opinion. But this 109, let's even say 109 and a fifth, okay? I'm looking to go long on NVIDIA. It's for whatever reason, the chips are strong today, 4 3/4. Did we even have a headline on NVIDia?
No, not that I saw.
Right? Let me look here. I mean, there was nothing that I saw earlier on. Anyway, still looking. No, there's nothing of real note here to account for a 4 1/4 move. But you don't really need one, do you? Quite frankly, from NVIDIA. I guess UBS chimed in possibly here on NVIDIA saying that their profit's going to continue to grow into 2026. Well, I'm sure that's what bulls want to hear. Here's the headline, Ram. NVIDIA rises as UBS says profits likely to grow until 2026. Obviously, we've been seeing their revenue increase exponentially because, well, they're creating an entirely new segment and they almost have an entire monopoly on that segment. So go figure. Anyway, coming down into 109, I'm going to be all eyes and ears for a possible long at that level in the same way that I was looking for a short at 198 on TSLA. That's been interesting. There hasn't been a whole bunch of other Mag 7 names that have interested me. The Katina man was talking about SHOP. Let's have a look at SHOP, reported while he was on vacation, and they printed up a dang storm. So as you can see over here, we breached 50, and now we're talking about that $70 area after the earnings report. 70 though, guys, an obvious level of resistance here on the daily. This is why you chart the daily. Initially, it was support. It flipped to resistance after that last earnings report. I'm not talking about the one we had last week. I'm talking about that May 8th one. Look at that big boy Huadunk from $80, and then we found a consolidation bottom around 57 and change. Since that time, 70 has been a line in the sand. We got into it around mid-July. We breached it today. But most notably, we're below $70 as we speak right now. That's going to be a very interesting level for me, right? Because if we don't breach it, well, then we can keep shorting off it. If we breach it, we can continue to use it as support, right? I mean, it's exactly what did it over here. It didn't have one candle just at 70. It had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles. You had 5 different days off which to play that $70 support. Now you kind of have that same look, but from the other side, the north side, the short side. So $70, write it down on your piece of paper and stick it in the middle of your monitor. $70, interesting level on Shopify Adara.
Yeah, there's some IWM. They moved down in the market. I was a little scared. I was like, because initially at the time I was trying to get out part of this position here at 204.99s, right? That was the plan. And then we kind of had that pull back down. I said, Adara, breathe. Don't panic, sell. See what you stick to your plan. See what you do at 204.75s, which is my level. We get to 204.75s and we bounce beautifully. Speaking of which, we're trying to test that again. So let's see. Again, we bounce. So nice little look there. We really, though, speaking of like holding up at levels, look at how much IWM does not want to break above VWAP. This is odd, too, because it's an ETF. I don't know why it's so glued to this level, but no matter what time frame you look at, what you see is a very stubborn IWM around VWAP. It's like, no. I don't have to get above VWAP, Adara. Should have gotten out here at 204.90s, because keep in mind here, guys, we've also tried a couple times here to get into that 205 area. We'll get to like 204.99. Oh, no, never mind, we won't. 204.98? No, not at all. So lots of stubbornness here for IWM as we break below the 204.75 area. I say au revoir. Happy I stuck with this trade. Happy I traded it according to my plan, because I had a plan for it. Plan did not go according to plan. But you have to try things here. Let's, there's short all green, LOL, says Kenny D. Yeah, not a bad look there. SPY, back into my little levels. You guys know I said, maybe you don't know, but I said SPY, 533.20s. I found interesting heading into this level that clearly I love, which is that 533.70s. That flipping from resistance to support has been, excuse me, dare I say tantalizing, dare I say delicious. Is 533.20 area on that S&P 500. I don't want to rush into anything here.
How was your weekend, by the way?
I got some stuff done.
Nice.
I got some cleaning done. Oh, I like that shot. That was cool.
Yeah. It's Ram. She's getting very creative. I like
Yeah, I cleaned. I did a little bit of cleaning, did a little bit of writing.
Ram? What, is she supposed to live in squalor? What do you want from her? Go ahead.
It was probably at you for saying Ram. I don't know.
Oh,
she confirms that is what it was
I thought
for.
maybe, I'm not plugged in. That's why I didn't hear her.
I don't bully you, Dara. It's very kind of you.
Wow.
But as Sharif says, if you want to bully any of your friends in the chat to get them to vote for the tickers that you want to see in the market recap, nice little transition. No, not recap, sorry, the rundown. Also, you can see Sharif bullying Neil on Instagram.
That's not true.
Exclamation point, join space, $, whatever ticker you want to see.
Propaganda.
Whether or not you believe the bullying allegations are propaganda.
State-sponsored propaganda.
What? Get in the chat, exclamation point, join space, $, whatever ticker you want to see. Also, speaking of state-sponsored propaganda, should we look? I'm sorry, I'm so tired. You can tell because I couldn't say that.
Yeah.
Speaking of state-sponsored propaganda.
Yes.
If you want to, like, maybe, should we get the police involved? The Chung Chung moment.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, my goodness.
Should we be
Yes, I did get
investigating this in a court of law? But yeah, anyways, wow, you can tell Tired Brain sitting because I just said state-sponsored propaganda, not in English. SPY hanging out here around that 533.20. I am not taking this in either direction. IWM, you're coming back up now. Happy I traded according to plan. Did not. Oh, AMD's below VWAP. Okay, that's what I've been watching all day. Like I said, one of my biggest tired trade rules, and again, I don't use this as an excuse, but I use it to make sure I'm more responsible when I trade when I'm tired. Is it a level I've already been looking at? Is it coming in? Do I have levels on it? Clearly, I like this little support resistance flip of 135.80, so it's something I'm going to have to watch. Should I take this short? But I like that we're below the 9 EMA, and we're below VWAP. And I think a yawn might be in order. What are you looking at?
I'm just reading the chat. The chat's always making me laugh. 3D says, she's like, propaganda isn't a trading strategy. And then what's his name? I was also like, hate-sponsored propaganda. Shout out to Saad Mahmood. No, what ended up happening, guys, is that Randy hit me in the head with an elastic. He's a good shot. All right? I'm going to give Randy his due credit. So then I looked over to see who struck me in the head, right? I mean, that's the normal reaction people will have. I saw Neil laughing, right? So then and then he shot the elastic at me again. I didn't understand he was passing me the elastic so that I could exact revenge upon Randy. I thought he was shooting me for the second time. So I said to myself, it's only fair if I nail him in the temple. And it's exactly what I did. And it's on the gram. So get into that Instagram profile right now. Watch me shoot Neil in the head with an elastic, right? Obviously, I apologize. I did not want to do that. Yeah, all right. Set it up whenever you're ready. But that's exactly what happened there. Hold on. Does he actually? There he is. He's down. Neil was down. So yeah, you guys can check that out on the gram. Obviously, we have a fantastic time on the show, whether we're trading or whether it's off the air. We're all friends around here, and you can obviously see that reflect. There he is. He just got hit aggressively there. That was great. No, it's not great, of course, because you hit the man who was injured. Hey, man, it's his Achilles. I hit him on the opposite side of the body. So give me a break here.
But then he'll injure both sides of his body.
Oh, that's a good point, Adara. I didn't think about that.
Chung.
I'm willing to bet that the elastic may not have the same kind of damage as the Achilles rib, right? Yeah. Elastic could breach skin, but skin grows back. Fine. Not a big deal.
As long as his body still has some elasticity after that hit. You don't want
Y'all are missing these elastic opportunities, it seems, says Blind Leader. Well, we had some good opportunities. We got short on 198 on TSLA. It's
I'm
right
in a
back.
trade right now.
Yeah, Dara's in the short. She's printing up a storm on that.
Yeah.
So shout out to her. 198 though, again, incoming possibly here on TSLA. It doesn't have to touch 198 and reject. It can do this progressively lower high and lower low, which is what it looks like it's doing right now. Zigging and zagging at that $0.75. I would say you have something at least into 197. That would be the first area I'm looking to wet my beak. Why? Because that's where the volume weighted average price is. So if you're looking to go short, ideally you get into that 196.50 area trough, but I'd wet my beak at 197 if I was to take Tesla short. This all assumes, of course, that 198 level doesn't get breached on a closing basis. I would not push myself out of the trade if you wick above 198. As you can see on the chart, 198 and a third has been that, line in the sand. We haven't been able to get above since essentially 935 this morning. So you're not working off one level here. You're working off multiple touches at that same level. So keep your eye on that. The other one here, the dead one. The dead one was awfully strong today. You saw the Katina man talk about this one, and Neil talk about the strength of Apple on the day. Went red to green, back down aggressively here at around 11:20 when we started the show, and now we're putting in incrementally lower lows and lower highs, and that 217 flat bottom break. Oh, baby, there it is on Apple. It's headed down aggressively here. Here is that 217 3/4 break. We could see possibly that IB low. The IB low, obviously the wick there takes us to 215.61, but the closing print takes us to around 216 1/4-ish. We're not that far. We're about 50 pennies away from that right now. AAPL on the way down, well over 1% on the day. It's coming down now, breaking down below a third. It's going to come into that 0.25% level awfully soon if we breach $0.50. Lots of weakness coming in here with 10 minutes to go left on the show. We're going to be sending you over the big kahunas. Neil and Sean back from vacay, baby. We want to thank the Kenob for filling in for him. But the Katina Mac, Big Sean is back in the house. We call him Good Vibes Katina.
Big Sean.
Yeah, no, well.
He's bounced back into the market.
I like it. I like calling him Good Vibes Katina. Shout out to him. What are you looking at?
I was just making a bad Big Sean.
Very
fun.
nice trade you have
Thank
there.
you very much. I appreciate it. When you said I was printing up the storm, I was factually not. I was basically flat. But now I am pleased as punch to announce we are printing up a small storm, a small series of flurries here on this AMD. And like I said, as you could tell, my brain was getting a little bit frazzled there. When I see stuff I like, I'm still going to take it. I'm just going to be very cautious when I take it. I still have half this position in here. I got involved here in an AMD, and I want to clarify, I don't love the price at which I got involved. I should have probably waited here to see a retest of 136.20s. We broke below view up. I got involved. I was basically risking here to see what we did around 30s because that was a bit of that area at which we had a little bit of support there. But basically, got involved. Knew I was going to take out part of this position here. Without a doubt, I was going to be taking out part of this position here at 135.85s because that was a bit of a pre-market area. Stay below 136s here. I'm going to add a skosh to this position. And with that in mind, too, while I was looking here, there was a question I saw in the chat that I wanted to address here from Jonathan H. Saying, and I can't find it now. Let me see if I can find this question because I thought it was pretty interesting and what I wanted to address. But it was basically saying like, should I be like learning how to trade, or should I just be like, oh, here it is. Do I have to learn all of the trading stuff, or can I trade what they're trading and selling live and at least do all right? I will say, as someone who, like, I literally learned to trade on this show. Like, how to trade was basically how I learned how to trade. And I did a lot of reading ahead of time. I think, too, you really want to make sure you're developing your own strategy, because no two strategies are going to work for each person. Like, I will say how Sharif and I trade is very different, and Neil and Sean trade is very different. We all trade very differently from one another. So I think the more that you learn about trading and the more you understand your own trading style, I think that's pretty huge. So I would say understand the market, learn to understand yourself and your own personality too, because one thing that Sharif said to me really early that was huge in my trading journey, and a lot of why I learned to scalp really early, and I still scalp a lot, is because I'm not very patient, right? So Sharif said, what's your short-term patience like? And I was like, it's basically non-existent. So I was more of a scalper. So I think to you, Jonathan H., I would say understand yourself as a person, because psychology is huge in trading. Understand a little bit about the market and make sure you're taking trades that make sense to you. But definitely stay and join our community, because I think learning how other people trade and what works for them is really pivotal to help you understand what works for you. And as someone who literally learned how to trade on this desk, I will say you're a good company. We're learning here every single day. Shout out to Real Trading. You can no longer join our segment now because that voting is over. But remember, you can always, at around 11 a.m., you can start voting tomorrow for to see what ticker will be in the segment, ! Join, space, $, that ticker of your choice. I added into AMD, wasn't able to get part of that position out here at 75, so we come back down, I'll be able to get out happy. I'm getting a little bit more confident in some of my trades. Like I said, I know I'm right on the day because of that Eli Lilly, but man, on my pride, I took that trade, because sometimes it's not going to be about if you're green or you're red. Are you green mentally? Are you following your plans? Are you doing strategies that make sense? Are you trying to develop as a trader? Because I know I develop more through taking those Lilly trades and being patient and doing stuff that you're comfortable with, but that scares you in a good way, than I would have been had I taken, quote unquote, easier trades. So with that in mind, just to go back to that question from Jonathan H., I really think it's worth it to understand the market, understand yourself, and try to take trades that make sense for you.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. So a couple of things I wanted to mention here. INDO continuing to go, guys. That 450, 455. So the real level to me was 450. The wicks, though, weaseled into 455. That's gone. That's no longer a resistance level. Now we wicked up into 73 or 74 there. So we're on our way, it looks like, possibly here into that $0.25 break. We were keeping an eye on this one. We were talking about 350 being that level in the sand. That's come and gone, obviously. That's, I think, the high from a few days ago. That's no longer the case at the moment. The other trade, NVD dang A, came back into the VWAP again, and I missed it. I was in the bathroom. Here we go. 198.08. You didn't really need to front run VWAP by that much to get filled, and you're right back up into 40 pennies, 50 pennies. Gnarly looking bottoming tail candle. Let's see if it closes this way as a hammer candle. If it is, and it makes a candle to make a new high, and we could likely weasel our way maybe back into 110. That's about 50 pennies, and it looks like it's going right now. Good look here for NVDA. I just saw someone say NVDA 97. Maybe. I don't think today, right? I think that would be a bloodbath for NVIDIA if it was to go down into 97 today. I don't think it happens, but we'll see. So that's been a decent look today as well. Apple now is below that key 217 level. Keep an eye on that. We were talking about that one before we went. I'll leave you with this daily chart here on INDO. This is the level we were talking about, the stopping tail candle from the 7th that got into 450, not 350. So we're not above it by $1, above it by 25 pennies. But now look how many good days INDO has had since August 5th. Sure, you get a couple of red days in there, but they all make higher lows. Each and every single red day there made a higher low above its predecessor. So this one is going. And I think, if we definitely get above that $5 level, it could be Squeezeville into 675 at least. I mean, we definitely went as well in the spring, so this is not a new thing for it. But INDO is likely going to be in play for the next couple of days. If not, then it would be deviating from this latest price pattern over here. 20 million, over 20 million shares on the day. It pales in comparison, though, to what we printed on the 5th, which was 47.7, so almost 50 million shares of trading that day. So keep your eye on that. And not much else in terms of other small cap gappers here to tell you about. PSIG and GNLN, they've a little bit above VWAP, a little bit below, kind of untradeable under my system. So I'm going to leave that as a B. Tesla, though, Here we go, 198 again. Look how many lower highs though. This looks like it's primed for maybe a power hour flat top break. You may get it, you may not, but I know for one thing for certain is that we have 3 incrementally higher lows with that same flat top at 198. I don't know what happens. You're gonna have to find out on the afternoon rundown, which is where I'm headed right now, Adara. So I'm gonna send it to you, and I can't wait to see everybody tomorrow on the midday, and I'll see everyone right now, though, at the big screen.
Shout out to Sharif. Thank you so much, Sharif, for
mid-show yawn there. We're gonna let Adara yawn up a storm.
Thank you, I'm good now.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sharif, for that. Teamwork does make the dream work. So happy to sit next to you in this here desk every day. We'll see you guys all tomorrow as well. And you got above 136.40. I got out. Should arguably risk this one into 20s. But happy I tried it. Happy I tried the trade. Profitable in some, not profitable of all of it. And excited to learn and grow. Shout out to Zenod 1066. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat, Zenod. And I think with this in mind, this is a really huge thing as well. Speaking of learning and growing for us here in How to Trade, familiarize yourself with the basics of all major strategies, but don't use them all at once. If it works for you, keep it simple. And that's one thing too, like I think is huge. Once you know what strategies work, then you can kind of implement them in other strategies. So I like to use my scalping. I like to use the way I read the book to try to incorporate some of these longer moves. Now with that in mind, there are times where I should be scalping out. For example, AMD, I'm a little bit disappointed I didn't scalp out here at that 136, where we got below to that 135.70s. But you know what? That's what you learn. That's what you grow. That's why you aggressively journal. 1420 Bud Monster pointing out how my yawn might have been encouraging others. I apologize there, guys. I know yawns are kind of contagious there. Tesla, along with a flat top break, says Hog Rider. We've also got over here, we had, who was it? Stacks, which coined Psycho Bunny as the new nickname for Tesla there. Psycho Bunny here above 198. Indeed it is. That 198 breakout earlier, let me switch back to the 5 here, looked really promising. And then that whole market went to the downside here around 11, but it fell back into that 195 level, higher lows. Man, I was definitely sleeping on this Tesla breakout. Speaking of my yawn, I guess. This is a great look here for TSLA. I would like to see it break above that 198.30 though, to echo a statement Sharif made, because you could see on the 5-minute chart, every time we try to break that 198 area, we wick into 30s and then we sell off. I think if we can get decisively above 30s, that would be a great look. I'd also like to see what we do on Tesla, or the Psycho Bunny, as Stacks called it, at 199, because that was certainly a pre-market area of support. So let's see if that can flip from support to resistance. But as you can see, speaking of flipping, we've already flipped the position board over here. We can see Sean is he's in the hood to the upside, he's shopping to the downside, and he's taking those TQs all the way down there. So good look there. NVIDIA as well. Someone was asking me how I feel about NVIDIA short as we head off there. I think if it stays above VWAP, I think it looks pretty strong right now here. But also, we're proud to, see you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for being here with us every single day. We will see you tomorrow, the same bat time and the same bat channel. Let's go over to that green screen.
Welcome to the Rundown, the show where you decide what we talk about every day. Sean is back. Neil is here. They're locked. They're loaded. They're ready to take